delivering personalized service and local expertise to help you make a slam dunk. Whether it's customized lending or solutions to keep your business growing, you'll benefit from local decision-making. Expanding, acquiring additional assets, or building a lasting banking relationship? We're ready for tip-off. Bank of Marin, your local business bank. Visit us at bankofmarin.com. Member FDIC.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sactown Sports 1140.
Hagen Oaks knows you can buy a driver off the shelf anywhere, but Hagen Oaks is the only place where you'll find total game fitting. The Hagen Oaks TrackMan-powered player performance studio fits clubs to your swing. Ping's Ballnamic Ball Fitter finds your optimum golf ball. The putter fitting studio makes you a better putter, and FootJoy's 3D foot scanner finds your correct fit. In fact, Hagen Oaks will fit you from head to toe with equipment and apparel to make you the player you want to be. It's total game fitting, and it's only at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sactown Sports 1140.
It's Matt George and Kayla Anderson. Online at SactownSports.com or on the app. Kings, Niners, and Sacramento. The Matt and Kayla Show starts now.
We're off the rails already.
Uh-oh.
Crosstalk, I mean, I should never be surprised by where crosstalks go, and yet I always am. And Kayla, it's your fault today.
I'm sorry.
You did this.
I don't know even how we got on that.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. We were talking about salmon, and then
we were talking about Matt flexing about De'Aaron Fox, and then all of a sudden...
I wasn't flexing. How is me telling when I got called a eater by De'Aaron Fox on social media? That's not a flex. I've gotten dunked on by De'Aaron on social many times.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of a flex.
And I love the dude, but
I would have done the same thing.
I'm just telling a story. Like I remember I got a notification from and it says at De'Aaron Fox, and then it said what it said, and I was like, my life is over. Like De'Aaron Fox just called me an eater on social media. And he deleted it really quickly afterwards, and we've talked about it since, and it's been
Did you save the screenshot?
It's been a funny... No, but I can find it on Reddit.
So it was like you guys were cool.
Oh, yeah. De'Aaron, like, I have never had a bad experience with De'Aaron Fox. And what was funny, it was all based off of something about Ja Morant, because early in De'Aaron's career, he and Ja Morant were compared to each other like with everything.
A lot.
Everything. Yeah. And Ja had gotten to the playoffs first and was considered to be more of a star. And this particular incident was, De'Aaron had a Hulu commercial.
Okay.
And then a year later, Ja Morant had a Hulu commercial. So I was like, and I tweeted out, I was like, even Ja Morant's taking like De'Aaron's Hulu commercials or something like that. And I think De'Aaron thought it was like me like taking a shot at him and talking about how Ja is better. I was like, no, I'm just saying, like, everything De'Aaron gets, Ja then followed it up with because Ja came into the league after him. And it's just, they're constantly connected. So I think De'Aaron interpreted it that way, and then he deleted it.
He backed it.
Either he realized I probably shouldn't say that on social media, or he thought, oh, wait, I misinterpreted this. But yeah, we've talked about it and laughed about it since. Like, De'Aaron...
That's so funny that was the story. I was thinking it was this whole thing, like, you said something about De'Aaron's play or something.
Oh, no, that's happened too.
Oh, it has happened.
Yeah, no, so there was a game a couple of years ago when the Kings were playing the Hornets.
Yeah.
And LaMelo Ball crossed up De'Aaron, and I overreacted to the play, and I said LaMelo put De'Aaron on skates, which he didn't. That suggests like he falls down. But I just, classic Matt George overreaction to a moment where and then De'Aaron after the show or after the game tweeted back at me like he didn't put me on skates or whatever, and we kind of had a back and forth about it, and then it was also on De'Aaron Fox's birthday, and I was like, well, Matt, you're an idiot. But yeah, and again, we've laughed about that. It's whatever. Like, De'Aaron is the type of person, he responds to people on social media because he finds kind of a fun and enjoyment in it. He's not afraid to versus other people. It's like Carmichael Dave. enjoy doing it.
They do it to do it.
They just enjoy doing
Get
it.
a rise out of it.
But yeah, so I mean, we started with that, and then you talk about this procedure you can get, and then you blew all of our minds off the air. Y'all, Kayla starts talking about this vampire ritual.
Oh yeah, vampire facial.
Yeah, what is this?
Yeah, so being a woman, it's a lot more difficult because you got to do the skincare stuff and all that stuff. And so there's natural ways to do some of that stuff as you gracefully age. No judgment about those who get, certain things done like plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery. Nope, no judging there.
Yep.
But, I would prefer to do it a natural way. And so there's these things called vampire facials, and they draw your blood, and then they spin it for about 15 minutes, and it separates the platelets, and it gives you kind of this this kind of a oozy kind of what would it be called, like material? I don't know what you would call it.
Oozy
and then
material.
They use something called the microneedle, where it kind of punctures your skin, and then they put that in, so it soaks in your own plasma, and so it rejuvenates your skin and gives like new cells and stuff. So it helps with or aging, I should say. That's what a vampire facial is.
So you can either have,
and it doesn't look like you have all this blood on your face. It's not red when they spin it.
I just have this image of like Rambo.
That's what you would think, right? Yeah,
just drawing blood across your face and looking like you're about to attack somebody.
I've heard of spinning blood before, but I've never cared enough to know what the actual like health benefits of it are. But
yeah, it just naturally rejuvenates your skin.
I'm spooked by like acupuncture. Like,
I love that too.
Why? You're getting little needles poked in you. It
is?
Mm-hmm. Don't you feel every little? And this is
not really.
What's crazy is I got a full arm tattoo like that, and that needle didn't bother me at all.
That's why I'm like, why did that not bother you?
But that's the thing. Certain things, like I can get a full arm tattoo, and there are parts that hurt. Like getting your elbow tattooed
I can't
sucked.
even imagine.
But like if they go to draw blood, I'm like, eh. And then like I am terrified of the dentist. Like that's not a joke. My biggest fear in the world is the dentist because I had a traumatic experience of having a tooth pulled when I was a kid because it got infected, and they lied to me and told me it wasn't going to hurt, and it hurt like hell. So I do not trust dentists. To this, I get like massive anxiety. They have to give like all the gas and everything to make me loopy. That's what they have to do when I go to the dentist.
I get it.
So it's amazing what certain things bother me and certain things don't, because that
doesn't. The tattoo doesn't.
A full arm tattoo, nothing. And I'm watching the needle, and I don't care. But
that I couldn't.
Acupuncture sounds terrifying. Sounds horrible to me. No, thank you.
It's not bad, and honestly, maybe fans should get some acupuncture this week because you probably need to calm yourselves when it comes to the trade.
What a great segue. Great segue, Matt. Well, but it's Kayla.
See, we need
time.
I don't have a great segue Kayla dropped yet.
Grand segue, Kayla.
All right, clip that, isolate that, and we'll use that every time that Kayla has a great segue on this show. Yes, we're not going to spend the next 4 hours talking about fish and acupuncture and blood things you can do to your face. If you want to do that, I guess go and get that done. We have plenty to talk about here on this Monday edition of Matt and Kayla. Welcome into everybody tuning in. Shout out to everybody on the YouTube chat line. Got some familiar faces from some old friends on the YouTube chat line right now. I appreciate all of y'all hanging out and checking this out. Shout out to everybody listening on the radio or listening at your cubicle at work right now, because it was a busy weekend. I'm Matt George. That's Kayla Anderson. We got Kyle Ledbetter on the other side of the glass, and we're going to be talking a lot today, guys, because finally we got a trade.
You're saying it so.
Whether you like it or you don't like it, Kayla, we got something.
We did.
Where were you and what were you doing when the notification went off that Keon Ellis was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Well, I was kind of just chilling because I was resting up this weekend. It kind of hit me hard the last 2 weeks of like, oh gosh, you have a second to sit and relax.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of hanging out when the information came my way. Mm-hmm. And I was excited just because something was happening.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot on the show the last couple of weeks about just there needed to be some sort of a move done. And it would have been helpful if it was a move that got rid of one of these veteran contracts. Now, would we have loved it to have been a contract like Levine or, even a Domantas Sabonis or DeMar DeRozan? Yes. However, it's not like Dennis Schroder's name wasn't brought up with some of this stuff.
Sure.
So I wasn't really shocked. And my initial thought was, okay, you're getting DeAndre Hunter in return. I don't know exactly what went on or what didn't go on in Cleveland to make that work this past year.
Yeah.
But it's been down a little bit. But I do feel like this team has talked about getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see if he sticks here and this is something for the future.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really mad about it.
Yeah.
But again, I am an outsider and I am not connected as much as a lot of these people are and you guys are to Keon Ellis.
Yeah.
So maybe my perspective is greatly different.
I think your perspective is going to be refreshing during this period because there are a lot of people like myself who we've been in the trenches. We've been in the foxholes throughout this entire saga. And it's impossible not to get attached to certain players. It's impossible not to have certain feelings of, I'll believe it when I see it. It's never going to be good. This feels like past trauma, blah, blah, blah. Like it's just a traumatic response that I think a lot of Sacramento Kings fans have. And I understand a lot of Sacramento Kings fans were upset by this move. I think no matter what happened, the Kings are going to be upset by the trade of Keon Ellis. And let's just give a roadmap for this show today because there's so much about this trade, the outer workings, the inner workings to talk about. So we're kind of just doing the surface level here at the very beginning before we talk about the games that were played over the weekend because the Kings have lost 9 straight freaking games, Kayla.
Oh, forgot about that one.
At 11 o'clock, we're going to dive in deep into why the Sacramento Kings went this route, why they chose this trade package over other trade packages that were out there, some of them fake and some of them like real. I think it's been clear the reality of what actually was on the table for Keon versus what we were hoping or thought was going to be on the table for Keon Ellis. So we're going to dive into that at 11 o'clock. And I understand people are going to get frustrated by explanations. They're already mad at me on Twitter for explanations.
I did see that. You were trying to put out a statement like, hey, I'm not a mouthpiece for the organization.
Put out a statement. What is he, a politician?
Yeah, listen, from Matt George, it'll be in your email.
Statement.
No, like, let's be perfectly clear here because I've been very passionate in speaking about things that I like and don't like about the Sacramento Kings. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows how furious I was at the Mike Brown firing, and I'm still mad about it today. Yeah. Everyone knows how much I hated the De'Aaron Fox trade and how everything ended with De'Aaron Fox and bringing Zach LaVine in here, and I ripped the organization to shreds, and rightfully so for that. My tone has not changed or is not changing because of my new employer, right?
No.
And you can back this up. Yeah. Kyle can back this up. Whether it's Dave, anybody in this building, we are not told what to say or told how to say it. If we relay information, we try to be fully transparent with that. And none of this is relaying. This is me. Everything that the explanations is going to be me sharing just what I understand, the reasoning behind it. It's not an endorsement of anything. Although there are some things that I do endorse, and there are some things I do feel that Kings fans are getting a little up in arms about that they shouldn't be, like getting a second-round pick. It really doesn't matter that much. We're going to dive in all of that today, but at 11 o'clock, we'll really talk about why the Kings chose this deal over potentially other deals that are out there. We'll talk a lot about DeAndre Hunter, too, because I firmly believe that the Sacramento Kings are looking at DeAndre Hunter as a piece of the future as of now. And they have the rest of this season to kind of test it out and see what it looks like. And, of course, he's paid, I think, $24 million next season. We're going to have Danny Cunningham. He's a great journalist in Cleveland, covers the Cleveland Cavaliers, also the host of the Locked On Cavs podcast. He's been a friend of mine for many, many years. He and I were talking about the rumors and rumblings of this trade. Danny was actually the one to bring it to me first or share, hey, I've heard this, and this was like 2-3 days ago, and I just thought it was another rumor, right? Because we've gotten a billion of them.
We hadn't really heard that one
right, and it started picking up steam pretty quickly. So Danny will join us at noon to talk about that. We'll talk about expectations for the rookies for the rest of this year because there was a lot that the rookies didn't do last night in Washington or yesterday in Washington that I was actually really bothered by. And we'll talk about, too, like, how much does Scott Perry regret the few moves that he has made? If he could go back in time, what would he do differently over the summer? We'll talk about that as well. Plus, guys, it's Super Bowl week, by the way. Hello.
I know. It is right down the road. Man, I wish we could be there, but we'll do our best to kind of bring you what we're hearing and what's happening.
So, of course, we'll talk Super Bowl stuff as well. We have, I would call it the Sactown Sports NFL and just football expert and Kayla Anderson on this show. So we're not just going to avoid the Super Bowl's talk that's going on right now. But let's just get surface level on this trade a little bit. And by the way, we're not having our normal lunch break segment because Danny's joining us during that time. So phones are open all day.
And I'm sure plenty of people.
If you want to react to this trade, positive, negative, you got something to get off your chest, you want to go at me for my interpretation of this or whatever, like, call in 916-339-1140, 800-920-1140. The chat is already popping off on Sactown Sports. You can text in 916-339-1140. We'll try to respond to and interact to as many people as possible because this is what this fan base is. This is what the city does. We interact, and all we can do is talk and get through circumstances together. And as that Washington Wizards game shows yesterday, we're in for maybe a rough couple of months. But Kayla, surface level of this trade, and Kyle, I know you have feelings on this too. Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroder going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. DeAndre Hunter to the Kings. Yeah. The third part of this trade was Dario Saric, who the Kings traded Jonas Valanciunas for. A Cleveland Cavaliers second and a Sacramento Kings second. It's a 2029 second rounder. I believe it's a second rounder that they acquired in the sign and trade of Dennis Schroder going back to the summertime. That is the deal. Mm-hmm. And so essentially, and Kyle put this out there and he's right. Essentially, when it's all said and done, they flipped Jonas Valanciunas and Keon Ellis for DeAndre Hunter if you date this all the way back to June.
Yeah.
So before we dive into the weeds of our opinions on this or like breaking this trade down, just surface level grade for this trade. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to just right now, because there's not a lot that I know how this is going to end up in the future with DeAndre Hunter. I'll give it a C. Mm-hmm. There's just too many unknowns right now, but at that, I'm not really like disturbed by the trade.
Sure.
Because I think something had to be done. Mm-hmm. And I think there might be another move coming. Those are just my thoughts.
Yeah.
But if you did not move anyone and there's an opportunity to move a guy like Dennis Schroder and you didn't take it, like then I think we're even in more trouble at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a C- grade for me. The trade itself is meh. I don't blame anybody for not being excited by the trade or being disappointed or sad that Keon Ellis is gone or disappointed that the Kings did not get a late first-round pick, which was the asking price and rumored to potentially be available out there for Keon Ellis. Sounds like that wasn't actually as legitimate as we maybe initially thought, or I don't know who was trying to spice up the market for him, if anybody was. Regardless, it just didn't sound like that was on the table. But again, we're going to dive into this more, the reasoning behind it, but the reality is, Kayla, like something had to happen.
Yeah.
Something had to happen. And this is the way that the Kings are able to, at the very least, move on from a contract, a veteran contract. You kill two birds with one stone. The Keon Ellis saga was over. By the way, Keon and the Cavaliers will be in Sacramento on Saturday. And if you go onto Instagram right now, you can also find it on my Twitter, but if you go onto Instagram right now and you go to the Instagram post, which is the thank you photo for Keon, it just says, thank you, Keon. It's a graphic. That's all it is. If you go into the comments, Keon Ellis is one of the first comments to it, and it's a GIF of I Show Speed, and he's just kind of like...
He's just like, okay.
Yep. So we know Keon's felt a type of way about this. The writing's been on the wall. Whether you want to blame the Kings for it or not, regardless, that's just the circumstance. Like, the writing's been on the wall. Keon feels the way he feels about it. Keon was gone. You attached him to move on from the Dennis Schroder contract. And in my opinion, you're bringing back the best player in the deal in DeAndre Hunter. But I understand it's confusing because you're adding more money short term.
Right.
And what are the Kings doing? Like, we're going to dive into all this, but I don't understand fans who are just like, this doesn't make sense. I thought this was not what we were trying to do.
Let me add to that, though, real quick, with the Schroder move specifically. I think fans might take that also as, well, Scott Perry is the one that signed Dennis Schroder in the offseason. Yes. And Scott Perry is the one that gave Schroder this deal and thought he was somebody who could be here at least for the next couple or few years.
Right.
And so it's kind of like a bad look from Scott Perry, but also I respect Scott Perry for pretty much saying without saying, and maybe, he's going to speak here this week on this, but saying like, this was a bad move on my part.
Yeah.
And we had to move something, and I'm not going to sit here and be stubborn and not move a piece because I signed him. He's pretty much saying, like, admission to guilt, like, this was a bad move on my part.
Yeah, that's where the admission of guilt, I think there is an element of that in this trade, for sure. But there also is the reality of there's a reason why Dennis Schroder was the contract that was moved. Because it was the only realistic contract that he's probably felt like he could move. Because we've been talking for weeks. Maybe they'll move DeRozan. They'll try and move Sabonis. They'll try and move,
Yeah.
Dennis Schroder was the contract that he negotiated and he signed.
That's a good point.
And he did so that if it didn't work out, Dennis Schroder's deal was trade friendly. It was tradable. We talked about that from the minute it was signed. Yeah, and we'll talk about this. If we go back in time, I think Scott would probably not have signed Dennis Schroder.
And just had Westbrook.
And just had brought in Westbrook because there was a big gap between when they signed Schroder and when they signed Westbrook. Remember, Westbrook was signed after training camp was over, right before the season started, and that thing dragged out way longer than it had to. I think there was things that Scott absolutely would do differently. But Scott was able to move on from a contract that was the one that he signed because it was easier to move.
Sure.
The 4 other contracts that he inherited that either the former GM or the owner signed, he's not been able to get rid of to this point. Now, to be fair, 2 of them, in DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk, I don't understand why.
I don't either. I
would
still
think
confused.
both of them should have value around the league. Sam Amick said the same thing this morning with Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross, and maybe things will change between now and the actual deadline on Thursday because we still have time. Things can change. Things can pick up. And I promise you, Kayla, the Kings are trying to do more. What I can't promise you is that it'll happen before the deadline or not. The can might get kicked down to the summertime. And I know not a single Sacramento Kings fan wants to be told, be patient, so I won't tell you that. You shouldn't accept
How about
that.
be prudent?
Be prudent. I know you're probably already tired of that P word too.
What about opportunistic?
Sure. If you're tired of all the buzzwords, I don't blame you for
Matt.
it. And I also know that we dealt with a former front office led by Monty McNair we always said more has to be coming, more has to be coming, more has to be coming, and it never did. So I don't blame a single Sacramento Kings fan that's like, F that, I'll believe it when I see it. Sure. I'm not buying into that. But I know the Kings are trying to do more. Scott is ultimately going to be judged whether it's this week or this summer what he's able to get done because more has to happen.
Yeah, and that's why I think giving it a C for me, you gave it a C minus. Kyle, interested in a second what you gave the trade grade. I say that because there is so much that can happen. I could go and put it all the way up to a B plus or an A minus, or I could completely say it's a fail when this shakes out. Unfortunately, because of the situation they're in, and this isn't the end probably in terms of even trade things happening before the deadline, I feel comfortable just giving that flat C because I knew something needed to happen. And that would be stupid on me when I've preached for 2 weeks that you need to make a move. We need to get one of these veterans to get this stupid log jam. I don't want to hear log jam, okay?
Yes.
I don't want to hear log jam again. So let's stop saying logjam. At least that helps with that rhetoric.
Yes.
So I want to just say I like that the move was made. Do I like exactly what they got in return right now? I don't know. That's to be determined because I don't know what DeAndre Hunter is going to be here because he kind of missed his opportunity in Cleveland this last year.
Kyle, what's your grade and your just thoughts on this trade when it dropped?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same camp as you guys for the reasons you outlined in terms of the trade on its surface is kind of meh.
Yep.
And if you date back to June with the whole process, the process is bad in terms of Kayla brought up the point that Bill Simmons made, which Bill Simmons is a little bit of a hater, but it is kind of the truth, which is you sign Schroder, move Valanciunas to acquire Schroder, immediately undermine the Schroder signing by signing Westbrook. Westbrook ends up being better than Schroder, trade Schroder and Keon Ellis for an asset that might not be as good as what you already had. Bad process, get all of that. So I'd give it a C minus just because it's a bad process, but it also doesn't hurt your rebuild at the end of the day. It's not so meaningful that it's you've set bad process of the Fox trade sets you back 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
Bad process on this is okay, we lost Keon Ellis potentially when we could have signed him to an extension or got 2 seconds or something like that. But the whole thing itself is incomplete because we're waiting to see what DeAndre Hunter is. And I saw some people were making the point, well, they're going to flip Hunter for Kuminga or flip Hunter for this. Once he plays, they can't trade him until the summer. So he will be probably on the team for the rest of the season.
And let's be perfectly clear, even if he could be, I don't believe that's the case. I've been given no indication other than the Sacramento Kings are excited about DeAndre Hunter and they want to see what DeAndre Hunter and Keegan Murray look like together.
Fair.
And hopefully we will get that when Keegan gets back from his ankle injury. We'll talk about that more at 11:30 when we really dive into who DeAndre Hunter is for this team. I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball into our plan here because we got 3 callers. We got Dwayne, Pool Guy, Mark, and Ray all on hold that want to talk about this trade. I want to get to all 3 of you guys, so I'm going to make sure the next segment is for y'all. Let's talk about these 2 games really quick. The Kings. We can.
Oh, do we want to really talk about them because they were poo-poo?
They were very, very bad. There's just certain elements of these games that I want to talk about. The Celtics game, trash, bad, garbage. Let's focus more on the Washington Wizards game last night because that's more of the history. If it wasn't obvious the Sacramento Kings are tanking, poor DeMar DeRozan was out there with like Isaiah Stevens and Daquan Plowden and Drew Eubanks, and he's looking around going like, what the hell is going on here? I know I've been very critical of the veterans for shooting too much and all that. I want to say a wholehearted thank you to Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan because they saved us from what would have been one of the worst games in NBA history.
Exactly.
The Kings scored 14 freaking points in the first quarter, and I was like, this is going to be horrible. Zach LaVine caught fire in the second quarter. Sure, maybe they shot too much. Had they won the game on the backs of those 2 veterans combining for 100 points or whatever they did, like that would have probably not been great. But they lost the game, and those 2 put on a show and gave me something to watch, so I appreciate them for that.
It is getting like hard at this point, and it's probably going to get harder to watch some of these games. You know, just giving an alert to fans, like it's probably going to get worse at times when and if a guy like DeMar DeRozan isn't here after Thursday. But I agree. Like, it does give some life to a game that was really atrocious, especially in that first quarter. But then you look in the fourth quarter, and it's like the Washington Wizards were trying to lose the game. They did not have their starters out here. So they're pretty much saying, hey, you guys are bad, but we're going to be worse, and they're trying to lose the game, and they can't even lose the game.
Scalabissiere went off, baby.
Right, with the former, what, was it a day?
King. Yeah, he's a 10-day contract, and he's King. He was a former Sacramento King way back in the day, a Stockton King recently. Scalabissiere helping the Kings tank.
Yeah, so I thought that was an even funnier, situation in the end that you're thinking they have, all their bench guys out here, and the Kings still can't win this game.
Yep. 9 straight losses. Real quick, Kayla, because we're going to talk about this at 1 o'clock, but I thought Nick Clifford's performance was inexcusable.
I was not happy.
Inexcusable. He took 3 shots. Dude, one of the reasons why they made these trades is to open up opportunity for you. Again, we're going to dive into expectations for the rookies at 1 o'clock, but Kayla, that was bad for me.
Because I really, really not like Nick Clifford, but I'm going to have to maybe be a little critical with this coming up.
So we'll talk about that at 1 o'clock, the rookie expectations, because it's not just Neek, it's Max, it's Dylan as well. We'll get more into that Kings-Wizards game too. Tons of trade talk coming, and your thoughts. We got Pool Guy, Mark, and Ray on hold. Dwayne, call back if you want to after the break. That's all coming up. We're just getting started here. Matt and Kayla, Sactown Sports.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, drive, weight, hair loss, and even ED. Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your T level for free. For your free T level check, exam, and consultation, call 916-277-8599 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Country in the Park is back. May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo. Miranda Lambert, John Party, and more. Line dancing live DJs, mechanical bulls, huge festival area, and food trucks. Tickets start at only $68. It's the perfect Valentine's gift. Surprise them with live country music and dancing. Country in the Park, May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center and Hilton Sacramento. For more info, visit CITPFest.com.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
How far do you hit your 7-iron? The answers will tell you which tees to play, according to Josh Sens in Golf Magazine. Deep down, you know you shouldn't be playing from the tips, but it's common for golfers to play from too far back. Aside from higher scores, rounds become a grind and golf becomes much less fun. After several years of research, the USGA unveiled a new data-driven offering to find the proper tees called Best Tees. If you know how far you hit your 7-iron, Best Tees will tell you which tee boxes to play. A typical male golfer should be playing from 6,100 yards and a typical female golfer from 4,400 yards. Most players have a good idea of their 7-iron distance, with average male's distance of 138 yards and average female's of 100 yards. Throw out the occasional perfect shot, which travels more than those distances, and concentrate on your average. This will allow you to reach the vicinity of most greens in regulation and let you hit a variety of clubs on approach shots. Leave your ego at home and give it a chance. You'll have more fun. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Tune in every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the Toyota Tahoe Report with Johnny Mosley and me, Elena, bringing you the latest weather conditions up at Tahoe. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
So good to see so many familiar faces over on our Sactown Sports 1140 YouTube channel. You can watch the show live over there. Some old friends checking out the show, tuning in on this very busy Monday after the Sacramento Kings finally made a trade over the weekend. Keon Ellis, you are a Cleveland Cavalier. And there are elements of people excited and both terrified to see what Keon will do for the Cavs, because they're a playoff team in the East, Kayla. Yeah. So Keon's going to have an opportunity to shine on a big stage while the Kings are on their couches at home.
They're excited over there. I text my good friend Sean Dunnigan, and he, by the way, loves the Locked On podcast host that's coming on. He said that's a great guest. So look forward to that at what?
12:05.
Yeah, 12:05. He said people are thrilled over here in Cleveland about getting Keon Ellis essentially for not a lot. I'm getting the vibe that that's kind of the opposite feeling here in Sacramento today. I'm a little partial, because I'm new here, so I'm not as upset about it, but I do feel and get that fans have been attached to him, and he is kind of an example of one of us. The Keon Ellis, the underdog story. It is hard to see those types of players go.
So I'll be a bad guy for a minute, and then I'll follow it up with compliments. I do believe that Keon Ellis was overvalued and a bit overhyped in this city. But I think we have done that, and I use we because I'm part of this too. We have done that for our guys, especially our underdog stories. We do it all the time. Keon has earned every single opportunity and every single penny he's got, and he deserves to be paid more, and hopefully the Cavaliers will be giving him more, or somebody will this summertime. Keon is the reason, he is the example for the NBA to show of why the two-way contract exists.
Yeah.
It's him and it's Austin Reeves. And it's Neemias Queta, too, who's the starting center for the Celtics. And by the way, two of those three guys were two-way guys here in Sacramento. So, one, Sacramento is the land of opportunity for two-way guys. Just ask Dylan Cardwell, who's probably going to get a main contract here pretty soon, and rightfully so, a full contract. But Keon, out of Alabama, undrafted, chooses the Sacramento Kings because he's looking at that team and going, they can't shoot and they can't defend the perimeter. That's perfect for me. I can do both of those things. He gets his opportunity with Mike Brown and makes the most of it, gets opportunities to start so that Malik Monk could continue to come off the bench. I know people were bothered by that at the time, but he did just fine. I remember him taking opportunities to guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right?
Yep.
Keon has worked hard, and I've had the pleasure of being able to. It's not like he's a friend of mine, but I've covered his entire career, chatted with him a couple of times, or a number of times. Super friendly, no ego, just like always willing to talk to you about stuff, always willing to give you the time. Keon was a breath of fresh air every opportunity I got, and there is no doubt, even if it stings the Sacramento Kings that he's gone and succeeds, I want that man to succeed in Cleveland. And I think when you're talking about a guy that can come off your bench and give you 15 to 20 minutes of floor spacing and on-ball obnoxious defense in the playoffs when it matters most, I can't wait to see how Keon takes that opportunity.
And I know we're going to get to callers in just a minute here. One more note on that. I think it's hard to not want the best for Keon, too, because Keon was not getting enough minutes here.
Right.
Or, whether or not that was Doug's decision or Scott's decision, I don't give a damn. He wasn't getting the minutes here. So for him personally, how is he becoming a better player or a more useful player? Yeah. I think he's going to get that opportunity, as hard as it is going to be sometimes maybe to see that in Cleveland, or maybe he goes somewhere else. Like they still have the opportunity to, get out of his contract.
Yeah, well, he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, but he's eligible to be extended after the trade deadline.
Okay.
So the Cavs, in theory, probably acquired him with the expectation that they're going to sign him to a new deal.
And I would hope that would be the case. Right. So long story short, he wasn't being utilized here. And for his own sake, I'm glad that he can go at least try to do something somewhere else.
The number one thing he needs is just consistency. Yeah. Give him a consistent role and a consistent amount of minutes and a consistent rotational spot, and watch him shine. That's what he needs, because he did not get that consistency here in Sacramento. Ray, thank you for waiting so patiently. You want to weigh in on this, the Keon Ellis trade. What's up, my friend? Happy Monday.
Hey, man. How's it going, Matt?
Good, my friend. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I just want to say, I'm not really too upset because Dennis Schroder, we just picked him up in the offseason, so we didn't really lose anything. We just signed him, so I feel like the value there wasn't much lost. Keon Ellis was homegrown, two-way guy that we moved to a standard contract, wasn't getting much playing time, and he had some lapses. We saw that as well. Like he would overreach, he would foul. Bigger guys, could power through him. So I'm not saying I love Keon Ellis, but there was obviously some things that, about him that we saw, and that maybe Doug felt like, we needed to get some length out there or whatever. And now we have a true two-way wing in Hunter that we could possibly either let go next year. He's on expiring. Or we can re-sign for much cheaper because his value has come down. Wings these days, their value is expensive. They're a hot commodity around the league. 6'8" guys that could play 3 and D, and they don't come cheap. So Hunter's value was low. I think we capitalized at the right time. We need somebody next to Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray is actually, I think, better to play the 4 than the 3. Even though we want him at the 3, I think he's better at the 4 because he does block, he does rebound, he is aggressive. He has that post game, that Iowa that we used to see. So I definitely think we can see that complementary. And I don't think the Kings are done yet. They have a standard roster size that we need to hit in 14 days, I think.
Oh, it looks like we lost Ray there at the end, but understand. Great call by Ray. What's funny is, if this were 2 years ago and the Kings got DeAndre Hunter, this fan base would have been thrilled.
Wouldn't they been thrilled?
They've been needing that for years, but I understand the circumstances are different.
And it's also, I think, partly because he has had a little bit of a down year and was expected to do more. He's seen his percentages drop.
Yes. Again, we're going to jump into, at 11:30, what does DeAndre Hunter bring to the team? What does the trade mean going forward? I'm telling you, there is an excitement in Sacramento, at least amongst that organization, to just see what Hunter and Keegan look like together. And that might provide some context or some insight of, do the Kings want to try and go an A.J. DeBansa wing route in the draft if they get the number 1 overall pick? It seems like Peterson's the obvious guy, but there's only a 14% chance right now that they get the number 1 overall pick. So things are working. The Kings are excited about the DeAndre Hunter addition, and we are excited to have Pool Guy Mark on the show. What's up, Pool Guy Mark?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, like you said, I'm excited, really excited. If it was 2024, it would make perfect sense. I mean, this is the kind of wing that we needed then. I don't dislike the player. Like he's having a down year shooting and stuff, but he's like I said, 2 years ago, I mean, this would be a home run.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the timeline. DeRozan and him, there's got to be another move. It's not a horrible trade. It's just kind of like I'm just, losing Keon is unfortunate. We need to, I want younger assets, and the ones that we have, we're just kind of like, well, now what's going to happen with Carter? Is that going to be another guy that just gets, shoved out the door? You can see approach with this. I'm not crying about it, but it's just kind of a head scratcher now, today.
Mark, let me ask you a quick question.
Sure.
Just for the fact that I think there's not a lot of movement, right? We're seeing it with Giannis Antetokounmpo too. Like he might not even get dealt till the summer now. So clearly the market shows what it is right now, and it's not great. Would you be more dissatisfied with Scott Perry not making any of the moves in terms of getting off of one of these veteran contracts or just moving the logjam of guards? Would you be more upset with that or maybe this particular situation that just happened with the trade?
Well, I was hoping, if we were going to use Keon, that we would move off one of these, contracts, these older guys, DeRozan and so forth. You're like you guys said before, it's almost admitting your mistakes, which to me, I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't understand why they got Schroder in the first place, and the trade. So basically you lost your young asset that everyone allegedly wanted to, get rid of your mistakes that you made that seemed obvious mistakes. So I was hoping I'm just waiting for something else to happen. This is kind of like well, he still hasn't really done anything, and everything he's done so far has been kind of like, well, I don't know. So,
Mark, thank you so much for the call. I understand what Mark's saying.
It's underwhelming.
Yeah, it definitely feels that. But, I mean, again, we'll talk about this at 11 o'clock. But the Kings did move on from a veteran contract. They moved on from the only one they could because, believe me, Scott was trying to attach Keon to everybody, every one of those top four contracts. And there was nothing there. Nobody was biting. So he ultimately went this route, and it sounds like the Kings were worried that if they didn't jump on it now, that between now and the deadline, that maybe that DeAndre Hunter trade wouldn't have been there. So we don't know. We can only speculate on that. But again, I understand every fan being underwhelmed. And when it comes to, like, Matt, you said the Kings said they wanted to get younger. They didn't do that. Well, they did. They turned a 31-year-old. I know Keon's 26. They turned a 31-year-old into a 28-year-old. So in theory, core-wise, they did get younger. Yeah. Number two, and Keon was always going to be gone. He just was always going to be gone. Number two, Matt, the Kings wanted to save money. Short term, you're right. They didn't. They added more money to their books, and they got some work to do this summer to avoid being a second apron team, for God's sake.
I know.
But long term, they did move on. They like Schroder was under contract for 3 years. However, the third year was only partially guaranteed. I know that's not that great of an argument, but it's not like totally against what the Kings were initially saying to do is my point. We got a break again. Joe, TC, Lawrence, I see you all on hold. Stay there. We got Q and K. When we come back, we will get your phone calls. We will get your feedback, your thoughts on this trade. The show is open for you all day long. It's Matt and Kayla right here on Sactown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, inviting you to come join them every Wednesday for their midweek madness drawing, giving away $2,000 in total cash starting at 6 p.m. It's a safe and friendly environment, plenty of well-lit parking available, and it's conveniently located right there in downtown Sacramento. And remember, best food, best service, best games, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com and gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Injured and you're considering an LA law firm looking to charge you 45% to 50% in attorney's fees? That's overcharging. Ashton & Price has been around for over 25 years, and I can tell you no matter how complicated your injury case, you should never be charged 45% or 50% in attorney's fees ever. Direct, experienced, unrelenting, and honest local representation matters. It's called Home Court Advantage for a reason. Ashton & Price, serious local attorneys for serious people with serious injuries. So for the best local advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
If you're serious about your golf game, then you need to know about Total Game Fitting at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Whether it's the TrackMan-powered player performance studio for your best fit clubs, or the cutting-edge technology putter fitting studio, or the free Ballnamic ball fitter and 3D foot scanner, the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop offers you total game fitting from head to toe with equipment and apparel. Find your advantage at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop with the latest offering of new golf products in Northern California. Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway.
Join Sactown Sports Downtown before every Kings game and pick up an In Shape Fitness Kings Rally Towel while supplies last. If you walk, lift, stretch, or sweat, you belong. Start the year strong and join today at InShape.com.
10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
We got no time to waste, and callers on the line. If you want to join in on this conversation, your reactions to the Kings' Keon Ellis trade, send it to us or let us know. 916-339-1140, 800-920-1140. You can call in just like Joe is right now. Joe, welcome into the program, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I have a question. Why was Keon Ellis so untouchable in the summer, given what little we got back for him?
I'm sorry, you said uncoachable in the summer or untouchable in the summer?
No, untouchable.
That's a good question. I personally think that there was an idea or there was a belief that Keon could be an option long term. I think the Sacramento Kings did feel that Keon had value to where at the time, I assume you mean in terms of a Jonathan Kuminga situation, because we heard like Keon was not available for trade in that situation. The Kings felt at the time that they would not have to include a player of that much value or perceived value in Keon Ellis in order to bring Jonathan Kuminga here. So I think it was probably some stubbornness on the Kings' part. But I do believe going into the season that Keon Ellis being with the Kings was part of the plan. And then the season went the way that it did, and Keon felt a certain type of way about everything going on, and for some reason, Doug Christie and the Sacramento Kings just decided that with this logjam of guards that Keon was going to be one that was inconsistently in and out of the lineup. So I don't know if that answers Joe's question, but I think a lot of circumstances changed from the summertime to where we're at right now, with the Sacramento Kings being the worst record literally in the NBA and on pace for one of the worst seasons in the history of Sacramento. Did not expect that coming into the year.
Yeah, I feel real quick, too, on that. You had mentioned Keon was always a plan from the start in terms of using him moving forward possibly, and maybe that changed. Mm-hmm. I felt like really from the start, we'd been talking about how he hasn't gotten the minutes. Like, I really never feel like Keon was ever fully given the opportunity here. And because I remember early on, media people asking about him in pressers, and that's where that whole logjam narrative came into play. And I joke about it sometimes, but it's nauseating. But a lot of that came about because we were asking so much about why isn't Keon Ellis getting the minutes?
Yeah, there was a confusion as to why he didn't play for Mike Brown. Why was Mike Brown DNPing him? A lot of people use that as a primary reason that Mike Brown deserved to lose his job. Then Doug Christie takes over. It seems like Keon makes more sense to be a Doug Christie guy. Then Doug Christie and Scott Perry aren't using him or using, honestly, like, if I'm not trying to make this a thing, but if we're being real, like Doug Christie and Scott Perry gave Keon less opportunity than Mike Brown ever did. So it's just been a very confusing saga. Yeah. And I think two things can be true. I think the Kings underutilized Keon and have done so since he signed a full contract. And I also think that Keon maybe is a little more overhyped and by the fan base and overvalued by the fan base than maybe he should be. Both things can be true, and it doesn't make it either wrong or right. But let's continue with our callers. TC, you always know TC's coming with the heat. What's up, TC?
Hey, Matt Kayla, what's up? Y'all got me clear?
We got you, TC.
Hey, so I kind of want to simplify what's going on. I kind of like that first caller because that's where I'm coming at. Like, first and foremost, Perry and BJ made a mistake with Dario and Dennis. Not only did they clean up their mess, they also got Kings fans. We always talking about we need wing help, wing depth. Well, that's what we got. We traded Keon Ellis, who was 6'4", 6'3", Dennis Schroder, who was 6'2", and Dario, who can't even get off the bench, for a 6'7" guy with 7'2" wingspan, who we've been glorifying and glamoring since he's been in Atlanta. Who was the guy that they always talk about in Atlanta? If somebody can get Hunter, if somebody can get that wing Hunter, that dude's a baller. Now we got him. It's not an overpay. What is he at, 25 mil? I'll take that. This guy fits right. He fits perfectly next to Keegan. If you don't want to fit next to Keegan, you can move on from this guy, in my opinion, easier and get more picks or something better. But in my opinion, he's here to stay because he fits better.
TC, thank you so much for the call. I understand what TC's saying. I don't think Kings fans are necessarily mad about DeAndre Hunter. I think they're mad about just the timing. And like it does, where was this a couple years ago? Of course, Perry wasn't here a couple years ago. Why is this happening now? Well, the Kings still need to address the depth issue at the forward position now anyway.
Right.
But I understand when the Kings are in theory going into full rebuild mode, why did you prioritize that over just getting draft picks?
Mm-hmm.
But again, it didn't sound like the Sacramento Kings were going to get the draft picks that we were hoping that they would have gotten, or a first-round pick specifically for Keon Ellis, like we initially thought.
Also, he is definitely overpaid, because if he wasn't, Cleveland would not have
You're
traded him.
talking about Hunter.
Yes, Hunter.
They were trying to get him off.
Because they're a second apron team, because they can't afford a bench player making $24 million.
But they also needed to address, in my eyes, Darius Garland is having issues.
Yep.
Like, he's having issues with the toe. I feel like they had to have some backup plan. They saw that this could work out for both situations.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's also why they went in late, too.
Well, look, Hunter was really good in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then he slowed down in Cleveland. It clearly wasn't a very good fit. It didn't work out for both sides.
Right.
When Cleveland went and got him, everyone's like, that's a big pickup for him. It didn't work out. That doesn't mean it's not going to work out here, but also working out here is different than working out there. He was expected to plug in and help that team make a championship run.
But it's not like he's been a total bum either. He's still averaging like 14-something points. Yes, does that need to be better for what he's going to get paid here? Yes, but we got to wait to see.
And again, I think he's here more for a trial than he is for like the numbers that he's putting up right now. I do not people need to stop with this idea that they acquired him, so now it's more win now and they're prioritizing a play-in spot. No, they're not. They're last in the league.
That's not
Even
what
if they
it's
tried
about.
to, they're not doing that. They're taking a look at what Keegan looks like next to a true wing, and we'll go from there, basically, because now is the time to experiment. Well, now is also the time to take a call from Lawrence. Welcome into the show, Lawrence. I'm trying to hit the button, and Lawrence won't let me. Can you put Lawrence on the air? Thank you.
I didn't do anything with the button.
I was blaming you for my own mistakes, Lawrence. That's what I do.
Well, it's fine, but the Kings, that goes along with being a Sacramentan, I think. Part of this deal is that we deal with a lot with narratives in Sacramento and being in a toxic narrative culture. Part of what this exemplifies not only is this cap system, and it makes us just continuing to be like this mafia money laundering thing for the whole league, this talent laundering, where it's like we just keep being this system where we just get this talent. The league can rely on us for these deals where we lose coming and going. The talent comes in, we just get these deals. We'll give you a second. Get off this money. Take this young player we kind of developed but didn't quite develop. We signed a guy in the offseason for this MLE deal so we could get him to a contender with Dennis Schroder. Oh, that didn't work out. Let's just get him out of here.
Yeah.
I think he cut up
on us. I think we lost him. Lawrence, thanks for the call. I don't blame any fan
Very
that
good
feels
points,
that way.
yeah.
And I mean, that touched into the kind of the Oakland A's side of my heart, which as an A's fan, the A's were the farm system for basically the rest of the league. They would develop guys, get them to the main get them to the MLB. They'd start outplaying their contracts, reach stardom, and the A's would ship them off. The Kings haven't quite done it that egregiously, but I understand what he's saying. Where I am going to disagree with a lot of fans and where a lot of fans get frustrated with me is this. Kayla, does a second-round pick really matter? The Kings used a second-rounder to facilitate this trade to Dario Saric. Like, in reality, like, I think people, and I don't want to speak for Lawrence, but I think fans like Lawrence are more bothered by the principle of what he just said. Why do we keep helping facilitate things? Why don't we get the benefit of the facilitating at any point? Because it seems like other teams do. Why can't we get that? But in the grand scheme of things, you're more bothered by that than you are a second-round pick. Because even if the Kings had gotten a second-rounder in this deal instead of sending one out, in reality, it really wouldn't have mattered that much. If it was a first-round pick, like if we're going back to the sign and trade of DeMar DeRozan, the Kings sent a first-round pick swap to San Antonio in that deal. That is a big deal. And a lot of people are going, why the hell did the Kings feel they had to do that? Why did the San Antonio Spurs get to benefit in that way from facilitating this trade? I blame Kings fan frustration with that. Not getting a second-rounder in this deal, to me, it's not that big of a deal.
I think fans feel some type of way, and rightfully so. All of this crap that they've done in the past year and a half with, getting Valanciunas out of here. Sarge got brought, Sarge didn't even play.
Yeah.
There's a lot of messiness that has happened here in the last year and a half, 2 years, that I think it's hard because fans are like, well, this didn't even make sense the first time we did it. And now it's like, now we're just giving people away.
Yep.
I think you've got to get all the bull out of, the kitchen, and you got to give that some time. But I understand where fans are coming from right now because it doesn't look good. But you got to clean out all the bull. And this is what they're starting to do.
John D., take us into break, my friend. You want to weigh in on this trade situation?
I do, and I feel like I'm being super gaslit by these unrealistic Kings fans. And don't get me wrong, us Kings fans are the most loyal fans in the business. But again, we overvalue our players. Let's think about this. Had we signed Keon Ellis to a market agreeable deal in the beginning, what would that have been? $15 million?
Probably, yeah, I would imagine low to mid-teens.
Well, I mean, at least over the mid-level, right?
Probably, right around that, yeah.
Okay, so $15 million. And then now he's our fourth guard, and only getting minutes. And then if he was to continue to play this way, and we're only using him this way, then we could not have moved them anyway. So I think it was a good deal not to sign him because basically we're offering the idea of Keon Ellis versus the production of Keon Ellis.
Great call by John, and makes a lot of sense too. I understand that side of the fan base as well. We're just getting started with this conversation, guys. In the next segment, we'll dive into why I believe the Kings chose this deal, and it's a lot of things that I don't think Kings fans want to hear, but you probably need to hear. If you, at the very least, you can be mad at it, but you also should probably try to understand it. We'll dive into the specifics of how this deal came about and why they chose this deal, maybe over other deals. That's all still to come here. We're just getting going. It's Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports.
This is Bill Cartwright. Join us Thursday, February 5th at the Golden One Center for the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame celebration.
Hurry in and save big during Honda's President's Day sales event at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Hurry in and save on our best selection of new Hondas. Each is priced to sell now. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop for great pricing on a giant selection of new CRVs, HRVs, Civics, and Accords with low finance and lease options. Plus, get an instant cash offer for your trade. Get to Folsom Lake Honda or go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kip Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kip Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sactown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
If society collapsed tomorrow, how long would your family last? If you run out of food, probably not very long. That's why over 3 million American families trust My Patriot Supply for preparedness. Right now, you can get their best-selling 3-month food kit for $100 off. It's 3 months worth of real, hearty meals that give you 2,000 calories a day and last up to 25 years. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com to get your 3-month kit for $100 off. The discount won't last long, so go to MyPatriotSupply.com today. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
2 iconic comedians, 1 night of laughs. David Spade, Dana Carvey.
In 1998, they invented the cordless mic. Now let me just, listen, Paramount Theater, let's not jump on trends.
Even in the best marriage, at one point, you look over and go, not my best choice.
Friday, February 27th, the venue at Thunder Valley. Tickets on sale now at visitthundervalleyresort.com. David Spade and Dana Carvey together.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sactown Sports 11.
Logic. I love the chat today. It is on fire. So if you want to join the chat on YouTube, do that. We'll take more calls later, but let's dive into why it might make a little more sense than first thought.
So this is very difficult to do, and I say this ahead of time, but for the sake of the conversations and for the sake of the show, because it all can just muddy up and get mucked up together and then you get nowhere. We are going to separate this into 2 separate conversations. We're going to separate this section into why they chose this deal, given the context of everything right now and going forward. What happened in the past was the past. When we get to let's call it 1 o'clock segment. Yeah, when we get to 1 o'clock, that's where we'll dive into the Scott Perry element of the moves he's made before, any regrets that he might have for those moves, right? And how those played a factor. I know you cannot just completely take the context of Scott's decisions, the Dennis Schroder signing, all that out of the equation, but we're going to look at this trade for where the Kings are at right now and what the Sacramento Kings had to do. Because the reality is, Kayla, this team is in shambles. This team is really bad. And the writing is on the wall in permanent ink, in whatever bold lettering, red font, wingdings, whatever. I don't care. It is obvious to everybody that the Kings have to do a rebuild. Yes. And it is obvious to everybody that this team is loaded with veterans that they needed to try to move on from somebody. And that is why this trade makes perfect sense to me, why I understand it, why I think Scott Perry prioritized this route. I believe even when there was this hypothetical late first round pick on the table for Keon Ellis, which it didn't sound like there ever was, I believe, Kayla, the intention, the best case scenario for the Kings was always attaching Keon to a veteran contract to get one of these contracts off the books. And I believe, in fact, I know that the Kings tried to attach Keon to every single one of the top 4 contracts. It's LaVine, it's Sabonis, then it's DeRozan, and it's Malik Monk. The Kings tried to attach Keon to all 4 of those to gauge if the sweetener would help the interest, and it went nowhere.
Yeah.
ultimately this trade, this is what it is. This trade was the way that the Kings could get off of a veteran contract, which they need to do. They still have more to do.
Sure.
But they needed to start by using Keon to get off of a veteran contract, and they got off of Dennis Schroeder's because it was the easiest one.
And this is why, though, I think we're having more pushback today from Kings fans, because I think of the fact that Dennis Schroeder was a recent Scott Perry signing.
Yep.
And if this were to have been a guy like Zach LaVine or even DeMar DeRozan, which, by the way, I'm still shocked that he cannot be moved.
Yep.
I think we might have a little bit of a different reaction. But because it is Schroeder, it is then putting Perry in another kind of predicament because he should have never signed him in the first place. Mm-hmm. And then, oh, by the way, why is Westbrook still here? Like, he might be gone by Thursday too, to tell you honest truth. I don't know.
We'll see.
But it does make fans a little bit ticked off because they're like, well, you're moving him and you just brought him in. And it's just like, you feel like you're going round and round in circles. Mm-hmm. But I get it because I don't give a damn. Like, he's going to have to admit to his mistake. He pretty much just did by shipping Schroeder out to Cleveland.
Yeah.
But when it comes to finally moving forward, it might be a backwards way of doing it in a roundabout weird way. But you did have to ultimately move on from one of these guys. And Schroeder was the only one at this point that they were interested in terms of another team right now.
Let me ask you this. And it's not because the Cleveland Cavaliers are super interested in Dennis Schroeder, by the way. It's not like the Cavs wanted Keon, not Dennis. But they were willing to take on Schroeder's contract because it's easier to move on in the future. It's only partially guaranteed at the end, and it's less money than all the other contracts that the Kings would have preferred to have moved. I know that Scott Perry would have rather moved any of those other guys compared to Dennis Schroeder. I know it because Dennis Schroeder was one of his guys. He moved what he felt he could move. The only thing he felt he could move realistically by attaching Keon Ellis to this.
Yeah.
Now, the other side of this coin is, and let me ask you this straight up, Kayla. If the Kings, instead of this deal, if we knew this deal was there, and the Kings chose an offer from, like Sam Amick reported this morning, that like there were 2 seconds on the table from the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm sure there are teams offering multiple second-round picks. If you had gotten multiple second-round picks for Keon Ellis and not moved on from Dennis Schroeder, so you still have all these contracts that you're muddied with, and you're stuck with the same logjam and the same problem, but now you've moved on from Keon, who could, in theory, help you move on from any of those pieces, for just 2 second-rounders, would we be feeling better today?
I would be so mad that I would have by far given that an F.
Yes.
There is no way I would have been happy with that. Because, again, you have the guard situation still intact. You can't move anyone. You denied moving someone. And then, I'm sorry, are fans really going to be happy about 2 first-round picks?
Kayla, a few years ago, Vlade Divac was the general manager of the Kings. And Vlade assembled the Sam Presti version of a treasure trove of draft picks, but for the second round, not the first round.
Ooh, fun.
Sam Presti did the good picks. Vlade Divac said, give me all the second-rounders on the planet.
Yeah.
And nobody cared.
No.
Because the reality is, and I'm not trying to talk you-know-what about the second round, because Maxime Reynaud is a second-round pick.
You can find some gems.
You absolutely can. But what is more valuable to the Kings at this point is moving on from a veteran contract, regardless of if it was the one that you signed or not. The context now is this team is awful. They need to rebuild. They have way too much money on the books that almost nobody in the league wants. So we're going to move on from the one contract that we can move on from. It makes more sense for the Kings now, and it makes more sense for the Kings going forward than prioritizing second rounders.
So fans, though, are saying you got rid of that contract, but you took on DeAndre Hunter's contract.
Yes.
So please kind of cipher through that, because there is a little bit of a difference. And also, you took out one log in the jam of the guard position and added depth to another position that we've talked about a lot.
Well, that's one of the positives, is the Kings have needed wing depth and forward depth, just period.
Right.
And that, I understand the confusion with Matt. Scott Perry openly said, and it was openly reported, that the Kings are prioritizing getting younger and saving money.
Yeah.
Well, short term, DeAndre Hunter doesn't save you any money. In fact, it adds money to the table, which is why there's this element of there has to be something more. There has to be something, but we're not going to use that in this conversation because until we see it, we have to judge based off of what we have going on.
I think that's fair.
Here's the reality, Kayla. As of right now, and this was shared by Bobby Marks from ESPN, just their cap guru.
Is that when he did that did he do emergency podcasts?
Yes,
the other
he did.
guy? I watched it.
Yes.
Yeah.
As of right now, and this is, I know, is going to boil Kings fans' blood if you didn't know this already. As of right now, the Kings are still under the luxury tax for this season. That's fine. Whoop-de-doo. They should not be a luxury tax team when they're the worst team. Vivek should not have a tax bill for the worst team in the NBA, and he won't. As of now, as it stands, the money that's on the books for next season would not just make the Sacramento Kings a luxury tax team, it would make them a second apron team. That is like, Kings fans are going, what the hell are you doing? That makes no sense. Now, it's not our money, but it does restrict what the Sacramento Kings can do. We can react to that in a negative way. Or we can use logic to understand that there's no chance in hell that Scott Perry and the Kings, and we can quote this because if I'm wrong, then I don't know what the hell's going on.
Put a post-it up.
There is no chance in hell the Sacramento Kings go into next season as a team that's a second apron team. If they do that, Scott Perry deserves to lose his job on the spot.
Yeah.
And Vivek would have every right to fire Scott. They're not going to do that. I don't think more is going to happen this week at the trade deadline. I don't. Because the Kings have been trying and there doesn't seem to be anything there. They're going to keep trying and they're going to keep working and maybe something heats up again. But as of right now, it still feels like Domantas Sabonis to Toronto is like our only hope. Or maybe some team wakes up and realizes, wait, DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk are valuable. Maybe we can trade something for them and get them for good value. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. If it doesn't happen now, it needs to happen this summer. So the DeAndre Hunter money element of this trade, we kind of have to put a pause on. Because financially, we don't know what the books look like yet. Financially, right now, it doesn't matter. The Kings are not a luxury tax team. So right now, short term, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Next season, we will have to wait and see.
And that's the thing. The work is, there's still plenty of work for Scott Perry to do here if there isn't a trade made by the trade deadline. And even then, there's plenty of work to do. But what you're saying, Matt, and I think you laid that out nicely, is I understand the fact that you brought on more money with the Hunter situation, right? However, it did help one situation with the guard jam. And maybe we'll see more in terms of that log jam getting unjammed. But the money situation in general, I think, will work itself out. But that's where that stupid patience word comes into play that nobody wants to hear. But the process as well is unfolding before our eyes, and it's going to keep unfolding throughout the summer. But that's on Scott, too, because that's going to be challenging this summer when there's a lot of things that aren't getting done now that are probably going to be pushed to the summer. I'm talking other teams, too. So there's going to be more competition as well. I don't even think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be traded by the trade deadline.
Doesn't seem like it.
So we'll see what happens. But right now, I think it's a mess, an overall mess in the league with trying to get deals done before this deadline. I mean, nothing is budging.
Yeah, Kayla, you and I, and since the show began, have been calling for you need to move on. You need to change something up. The analogy I used was this is a stinky locker room and you need to open a window. And I'm not saying the locker room is bad. I'm just saying this team sucks.
Needs air.
And you need a breath of fresh air. You need something new. You need to change something. And at the same time, we've been calling for you have to move on from some of these veterans because like we laid out last week, the Sacramento Kings are the only lottery team outside of the Pacers who were in the finals last year. The only lottery team that has 2 contracts over $40 million. The Kings' book is completely loaded with veteran talent, and they suck. They need to move on from some of it. We've been all calling for that. The fan base has been calling for that. Scott Perry did it. He did it in the only way that he could. And more has to come. Job's not finished, but I don't think Scott's rolling out. If Scott Perry did a press conference today, he's not walking out there and sitting down, crossing his arms and going, look what I did.
Look at this move.
The cliche analogy to use is this was the first domino to fall. We just hope it hits other dominoes. And that's where everybody in the fan base is kind of holding their breath, waiting to see if something follows it up. And I don't blame Kings fans for being skeptical about that or angry about that. I don't blame them. I don't see a reason to be very frustrated or super upset by this trade by itself. But more does have to come. And if it doesn't, you best believe we'll be upset.
That's hard to see, though, sometimes, the future, when all the past has been foggy and murky and, just nothing happy to talk about when it comes to the past and the moves that are made. So people feel scarred, and it is hard to put trust in a general manager to make the right moves. And right now, some of the stuff surface level might not make sense. And I understand people have their guards up, but just stick with us as we work through this. What would you call it? Not quicksand, because that's just a definite sucks you down.
Right.
The murky water, right? To get out of the creek into So I think it will work itself out. It has to in some ways. Like you said, Scott Perry's going to have to make some moves this summer. But I get the frustration because you would have liked to have seen a Levine contract, a DeMar DeRozan contract moved. And that just can't happen right now because nobody's biting.
And this is where Sacramento Kings fans, and I use we because I'm in the boat with you, we need to look ourselves in the mirror. No matter what, I think we were going to be upset that Keon Ellis was traded because we attached ourselves to Keon. We put our heart in. He's one of ours. He's one of these underdog stories. He is the Sacramento Kings. No matter what the Kings got back, y'all would have been upset. So that is my point, because there was never ever going to be some sexy, unbelievable offer where the Kings come out looking like absolute winners. It doesn't exist. It didn't exist. How this entire season, how the offseason went with the Kings trying to shop Malik Monk during the offseason and there was no value there. How all of the Jonathan Kuminga trade talks have gone. It's completely obvious that the Kings are not in much of a position of power or leverage. And you know what? That's not because of what Scott Perry did. That's because of what Scott Perry inherited. And everybody thinks I'm putting on a cape and trying to defend Scott Perry here. I'm really not. I want Scott to be the guy to make this organization great again, because I don't want the Kings to go through another search for another GM and another head coach and for us to stay on this carousel of basketball hell. Yeah. I want it to end. So it's not me trying to defend Scott Perry. It's recognizing that Scott inherited an absolute dumpster fire created by the former regime, Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox, and owner Vivek Ranadive, and he needs more than a broom and a dustpan and 5 minutes to clean everything up. This is the first step of what I am hoping. I'm not telling you it's going to be. I am hoping this is the first step of the clean. This is knocking down this is knocking down the old house to get to the foundation to then repair that and rebuild. That's what I hope that this is. I can't promise you it is, but this is what something needed to happen, and Scott at least got the ball rolling. That's what we needed.
He doesn't have the shark vacuum right now, although I wish he did.
Those are great.
But I know that those are expensive, and yes, they are great. But it's more of a little bit at a time here because of what other teams aren't doing and what other teams aren't interested in terms of what's on your roster right now. Unfortunately, that wasn't a lot of his mess. And it does not give him a full pass because he has to find ways to eventually move some of these people. But he is making moves. At least we can say there are moves being made before the trade deadline. Are they the sexiest moves? Hell no. But they're moves.
Also, if no other moves do get done and then you get to the summer and there's still no market for the expiring contracts, just let him expire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's ultimately the out is okay, you didn't get value for those guys, but you also didn't have to attach assets to move them. Just let it expire, clear the books, start again in 2027 with essentially draft picks being your foundation. I mean, sure, you can find a young player here or there that another team doesn't want, but that's not what DeAndre Hunter is. DeAndre Hunter is a guy who, when he's been a starter, his teams have been bad. When he's been a bench player, his teams have been better, and he's getting paid like a starter.
Yeah.
That's kind of what DeAndre Hunter, and he's 28 years old. It's not like his role in the league is about to dramatically change.
Right. From PE Time on the YouTube chat, Matt, please explain how this is a clean-up step when Hunter is more money on the books than Schroder.
You just said that, though.
So let's break this down a little bit, because next year, Hunter is paid a lot more money than Schroder for sure.
Right. Do we have the numbers? Because I want this to be as crystal clear for people, because they do they do deserve this in terms of getting the numbers and
DeAndre
everything.
Hunter's contract, I'm doing this off the top of my head, and I'll have to look this up while talking, and me multitasking is always wonderful.
Kyle can fact check, too.
DeAndre Hunter's contract, I believe, is $24 million this year and $25 million next year.
Okay.
Dennis Schroder.
Pretty close, yeah.
Pretty close. Okay. Dennis Schroder was $14.5 this year. I believe something similar next year, and then the final year, which Hunter does not have, but the final year was only $5 million of guarantee, or $4 million of guaranteed
so pretty
money.
Much nothing.
Yeah, it's $4 million. So that last year, it's not the worst in the world, but it's still technically more guaranteed money that's on the books long term. The best answer that I have for you, PE Time, is this, if that's the correct way to say your name on YouTube. Hunter gives the Kings a look at what they're trying to do going forward and where they're trying to go going forward without multiple years of commitment to it. And if you're Scott Perry, you're looking at ultimately the money comes off the books next year or at the end of next year. He is an expiring deal. If it does not work out, expiring deals at $24, $25 million are moved all the time. You have the Sacramento Kings that have a bona fide starter caliber talent in DeMar DeRozan right now, who's only $10 million guaranteed next year, and nobody wants him.
Mind-blowing.
So I can't predict what the future will hold, but there is no guarantee at all that the Kings would have been able to move on from Dennis Schroder next year had they not made this trade or any of these veterans. Scott Perry was able to move on from the one veteran that he could, or he's been trying to move on from all of them, but he was finally able to move on from a veteran. Granted, it was the one that he signed. And if you want to say he only cleaned up his mess, not any of the other mess, well, you got to start somewhere. And I do understand the frustration with Perry for that signing to begin with. There is, like you said, an admission of guilt element to this trade, maybe I shouldn't have ever signed Dennis Schroder.
Exactly.
It didn't work out. This team's a disaster. Now I have to get rid of him.
Because he could not done the deal.
100%. So there is definitely an admission of guilt to it. But what I'm talking about from this point going forward is he did something that needed to be done, and he brought in someone in DeAndre Hunter who, in theory, fits the idea, the vision going forward. We'll have to see. Gives a wing partner to Keegan Murray going forward, and we'll see what that looks like and if there's any promise to it. You're only on the hook for 1 year, essentially, so if it doesn't work out, you can trade him at the deadline as an expiring deal, or you can sign him to a new deal if it does work out.
It's kind of a trial period,
It's
right?
It's not as big of a financial risk as people are making it out to be. It's not the Kings going out and getting Emmanuel Quickley's contract for $32.5 million over the next 3 years, or Jakob Poeltl's contract. Right. I would expect those contracts to get this kind of response. A $25 million one season is not going to be that big of a deal, considering we all know, because common sense tells you, the Kings have to move on from the veterans, or some of the veterans that are being paid right now, by the start of next season. I don't think this DeAndre Hunter payday conversation is going to matter when training camp starts next year, because hopefully Scott Perry will clean out the rest of the mess that he needed to clean out to begin with.
I think that Scott Perry, he's a businessman. I will say that. Like, everything I've learned about him, the way that he was brought up, he's been in this business doing these types of things before. I really, truly, number-wise, don't think he would make this deal if there wasn't some sort of a plan. Because, yeah, it's one thing to bring in depth at the wing position, and like you mentioned, they want to see what he looks like with Keegan Murray. But if there wasn't a plan for, like you said, the money, or they thought that was just going to be too overwhelming, I don't think the move was ever going to be made. But they know there's some sort of plan for that if it does not work out.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can get off that in year 2, and it's not that much.
Right.
So.
And if this is an admission of guilt by Scott Perry, which I think it is, I think everybody knows that the Schroder signing did not work out the way that Perry intended. I think that's pretty clear.
I think yeah.
And he undermined it by signing Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook being better than Dennis Schroder at a 1/7 of the cost.
Well, I think where we see a mistake with Scott Perry, too, and again, we'll dive into his offseason that he had, this past summer that he had, and the mistakes that he made and regrets that he may have. We'll dive into this more at 1 o'clock, but I think there was a clear belief, or an over-exaggeration, an overreaction to, there are no point guards on this Kings roster, we need to go out and get 2. And I fundamentally disagreed with that because I thought Malik Monk did just fine in that backup point guard role. He has, and thankfully I think he'll be able to get back to that now that Dennis Schroder is gone. If you want to be mad about the moves that Scott Perry made during the summertime because you need just someone to blame, that's totally fine. But that's a small oopsie compared to the, let's say let's say 2 big oopsies that are on this contract or on the books right now that Scott Perry has to find a way to move on from. He inherited these problems.
It's more the biggies, the big contracts.
I think Scott was backed into a corner of, I tried to do something. It did not work out. Our timeline of tanking is accelerated because this team is horrible. And I felt this team was horrible before the Dennis Schroder signing, before the Russell Westbrook signing. I thought it didn't make sense then. It doesn't make sense now. So if you want to be mad about the offseason for Scott Perry and use that to just be doom and gloom about everything in the future, hey, be my guest if it makes you feel better. Because ultimately we're rooting for the same thing, which is for Scott to figure this out, clean up this mess, and this team to be good again.
Yeah.
But the reality is, and this is just how you have to look at it. I know it's difficult, but this is just how you have to look at it. The Kings needed to move on from at least a veteran. They needed to use Keon Ellis to move on from at least a veteran that the rest of the league does not want, not because of who they are as players, but because of the state of the organization right now, the apron system, and the fact that players are looked more at as contracts than they are players. That's the reality.
Yeah.
Perry had to move on from somebody. And the one person he could move on from was the one guy that he signed because he signed him to a deal that was able to be moved, not the 4 deals that he inherited that the owner or the former GM signed that he can't move right now, even if he attached Keon Ellis to it. It's a roundabout way to give Scott Perry credit, and I understand if you don't want to give any credit to anybody right now. But Scott did the first step of what needs to be done. Now, Scott, you best deliver on step 2 because there's a lot of work to do.
And look, there's still going to be things that will come back on him maybe when things aren't exactly fixed here in the next year because it's going to be an ongoing process. They're still trying to make certain pieces fit, and not all pieces are going to fit. I'm not going to say that Hunter is going to be a fit here yet. I don't know that yet. Yeah. You could go see Keon Ellis ball out starting as soon as Saturday here at Golden One Center. So there could be some real more frustration coming from the fan base if those sort of things happen. But remember, this is more of a longer-term plan. Doesn't mean you can't be mad in the meantime, but I don't think we're going to just see things fixed here even in the next year.
And the most important thing Scott Perry has still remained in control of. He's remained in control of his draft assets. He's been consistent with not attaching those. I know the Kings sent out a second-round pick in this deal. The second-round pick, that's nothing. That doesn't mean anything. It's not worth being bothered over. The first-round picks and the future draft capital of the Kings is what matters, and Perry has been consistently protective of that, as he should be. Scott has not done anything that is damning by any means to the future of the Kings going forward. Everything that's been damning and has made his job more difficult is what he inherited.
Happened before.
The Dennis Schroder signing was not a good signing. It did not work, but it didn't kill him.
Yeah.
And he was able to move on from it. And that, I mean, you don't have to call it a victory, but it's a step in the right direction. All right, we'll take a break. If you want to get back into this conversation, you can. We'll reopen the phone lines, 916-339-1140, 800-920-1140. We're going to talk about the new King, DeAndre Hunter. We're hoping he makes his debut against the Grizzlies on Wednesday. Who is he? What are the Kings adding? And what about this partnership with Keegan Murray that could be enticing? We'll talk about that on Matt and Kayla.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
If you're serious about your golf game, then you need to know about Total Game Fitting at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Whether it's the TrackMan-powered Player Performance Studio for your best fit clubs, or the cutting-edge technology putter fitting studio, or the free Ballnamic ball fitter and 3D foot scanner, the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop offers you total game fitting from head to toe with equipment and apparel. Find your advantage at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop with the latest offering of new golf products in Northern California. Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Country in the Park is back. May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo. Miranda Lambert. John Party. And more. Line dancing live DJs, mechanical bulls, huge festival area, and food trucks. Tickets start at only $68. It's the perfect Valentine's gift. Surprise them with live country music and dancing. Country in the Park, May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center and Hilton Sacramento. For more info, visit CITPFest.com.
Hurry in and save big during Honda's President's Day sales event at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Hurry in and save on our best selection of new Hondas. Each is priced to sell now. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop for great pricing on a giant selection of new CRVs, HRVs, Civics, and Accords with low finance and lease options. Plus, get an instant cash offer for your trade. Get to Folsom Lake Honda or go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It's Matt George and Kayla Anderson on Sactown Sports 1140.
What I love about Sacramento Kings fans is y'all are passionate. And
I love it.
I'm right there with you. Whether you agree with me, disagree with me, it's totally fine. Disagree with Kayla or agree with Kayla, it's totally fine.
Bring it on.
I mean, this fan base, the loyalty of this fan base towards this organization is undeserved but special, right? And it's
you guys deserve,
never take it for granted.
You guys deserve so much more. I tell you this, coming from a market where I covered a crap Tennessee Titans team, and I come here, and Sacramento is a similar size market, right? But, like, this is your pro team. This is all you really have here. I know the A's are here temporarily, but the passion that you continue to have and the support you have for your team, it gets unnoticed sometimes.
Yeah.
And I see these national people going off on rants. I saw Charles Barkley and Shaq get into it the other day. Charles is just trying to pretty much, like, put aside Sacramento. And Shaq's like, well, what about Charlotte? Charlotte's crap too, but you're not giving Charlotte as much crap. It's just like the Kings get put in that category, and nobody else around them is ever given that much heat. And so for the fans to stick with their team like you guys do, you can complain all you want until they get it right.
Yep. And you deserve to complain. But when things are said that I think are inaccurate or I disagree with or are more victim mentality than they are truthful, then I'll address it. And that's where I want to address this comment from my guy Roddy. I've known Roddy for a long time in the Kings and Sacramento media and radio scene. Roddy says, GMs just know they can fleece the Kings. It happens over and over again. Y'all, this is the victim mentality nonsense that we need to move past. Scott Perry and the Kings did not get fleeced in this trade. Relax with that. You feel like they did because you love Keon Ellis. But Keon Ellis was a two-way guy, paid $2.5 million per year. I think Keon Ellis is a good basketball player. I think Keon Ellis is going to be solid for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Keon Ellis is not going to go to Cleveland and become a superstar. We all believe that Keon should have played more consistently here. We all are confused why both Mike Brown's regime and now Doug Christie's regime are keeping him in and out of the lineups, giving him DNPs at times. Yep. But y'all, there's got to be a reason. It's not just everybody in Sacramento, they're idiots. Like, there's got to be a reason that we don't understand. It's the same thing about Devin Carter. And I from the outside, you from the outside, all of us, we may not know exactly why. But there has to be a reason why. I want Keon to succeed in Cleveland. I don't want him to go to Cleveland and not work out there either and start getting DNPs over there. 100%. But the Kings did not get fleeced in the deal. They've got the best player in the deal. I'm sorry, Keon might eventually be better than DeAndre Hunter.
But he's not
right now.
Right.
And I know the Kings getting the best player in the deal is also a negative with this trade because why the hell are the Kings getting the best player in the deal? They're tanking right now. I get that response too. The Kings did not get fleeced. They lost one pick in the trade. It's a second rounder from 2019 that's not going to matter. One draft pick, 1 second rounder is not the difference between the Kings getting fleeced or not. Had the Kings gotten a second rounder, would we have said, oh, it's a great trade now? No. No matter what, you were going to be upset with the loss of Keon Ellis. No matter what, unless you got a top 5 pick for him, which you were never going to get. The Kings were struggling just to get a late first rounder, and it sounded like that was never really on the table. So stop it with this. The Kings got fleeced stuff. No, they did not.
Uh-oh, now you're starting to sound like a mouthpiece for the organization, Matt.
Oh, am I? By making sense? By not just being an emotional wreck over this? I love Keon Ellis too, but the Kings did not get fleeced.
Yeah, because you definitely don't sound like an emotional wreck now.
I'll jump in being somebody who's a complete outsider. And I'm not a fan of the team. Like, I'd like for them to do well, but I'm not from here, and I'll take that on. You can say whatever you want about me. But I want the team to do well. I'll tell you that much. I'm here now. I want to support a team and see them do well. But I will say this. You all knew at some point Keon Ellis was going to be traded. This was actually the one thing that was somewhat like 99.9% going to happen. And whether it happened for 2 second rounders or for this type of trade, where, by the way, again, you are getting a player back that might fit more of what the future wants to look like for this team. Yes, right now in 2026, it might not seem like it fits in terms of the contract. But everyone knew that Keon was going to go. We've prepared everybody for that.
Yep.
And so to be upset about it, I totally get it.
100%.
But to sound shocked and like, oh my gosh, this is the most horrible thing ever, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah. Look, you know what a fleece is? A fleece is getting or trading De'Aaron Fox and punting the future of your organization away to take on Zach LaVine. That's a fleece.
Now that is bad.
But Scott Perry has nothing to do with that. Right. And that's the part that Kings fans don't want to hear, but y'all need to hear, because we can be upset about everything that the Kings have ever done going back to 2002 and just live in this cesspit of misery if we want to. Or we can look at, and trust me, I've done it. I spent a year in the depths of suffering as a Kings fan after Mike Brown was fired. And it didn't make me feel good, even if I was right. It sucks. Like, Roddy might be right that the Sacramento Kings historically have lost more trades than they've won. 1,000%. But all we can do is look at what Scott Perry is trying to do going forward. Was the Dennis Schroder signing a mistake? Yes, in the grand scheme of things. Should he have extended Keon Ellis? Maybe. But had he done that, would he have been able to move Keon Ellis if they still didn't see a future for Keon? I don't know. Keon signed a contract that gave the last year as a team option. A team option means the team gets to decide based off of their circumstances what they want to do. They did that. So, and they were able to move on from him because he wasn't like a big money contract or anything like that.
And that, again, we go back to this, but general managers, like you would if you were building a team, right? I know I look at it in this way. If I were building a team, if I was a GM, there are certain things that might be left over, like on my plate, that I'm cool with eating, right? Like mac and cheese or something. But if it's freaking like anything green,
asparagus,
or
Brussels
greens
sprouts?
in general, like I'm gonna get rid of that. That's not something I like, and so I get that it's not popular by any means. But Scott Perry has no technical ties to bringing in Keon Ellis. So if he doesn't see him as a future or fitting in on what they're trying to build, then he has a right to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm. And I think Scott knows he's going to have to break some hearts ultimately to move in the right direction.
Yeah.
But of course,
that's the GM's job, though.
When you open a wound, you have to find a way to close it, or eventually people are going to get tired of those wounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're trading a Keon Ellis that the fan base liked. You've been shopping a Malik Monk that we know this fan base likes. The response to when Malik Monk checks into a game versus anybody else is obvious how much this fan base resonates and appreciates Malik Monk. If the Kings do end up moving on from Malik at any point, it better in the long run work out, or you're going to get killed for it.
Yeah.
Scott knows this. I'm just saying he doesn't deserve to be getting killed right now. We haven't seen enough.
And it's like a mixture. It's crazy, like hearing and seeing in the last 24 hours plus of what, it's a mixed bag in my eyes. Like I'm hearing both sides. Like people are okay with the trade, and then there's some people are like, we got fleeced. It is interesting how much this fan base it differs in terms of their opinion right now.
Yeah, and I think this fan base is just very emotionally charged because we tasted the joy of the Beam team, and the fall from grace has been so immediate and so painful and frustrating, capped off by the year we had last year. And I just felt like no matter what happened this year, there was going to be that leftover frustration, that leftover venom, because ultimately, like, Perry's got to rip some Band-Aids off and fix the wound the hard way, or cut off some limbs even if he needs to amputate.
Right.
Like there's just stuff he has to do.
And by the way, this team hasn't won double-digit games this year. So that's a part of it, too.
Well, they're 12. They're at 12.
Okay, 12, yes.
They haven't won a Baker's dozen.
Sorry.
They've snuck in.
Sorry. I've forgotten because they've lost 9 straight. And how many on the road? Like, yes, they've won 12 games this year. But my goodness, it's like you're starving just for something positive.
By the way, the loss yesterday, they officially dropped below my 1959 Royals threshold for they are really, really bad, which for reference, that team had 8 rookies and no players on the team. And there's a whole story behind it. But they're worse than that team.
Is it Melkor? I see Melkor. Melkor's on hold. I will put you or leave you on hold if you stay out through the break. We'll get you really quick before we get to pick a side. And then Danny Cunningham from the Locked On Cavaliers podcast, Cleveland Cavaliers guy, is going to join us at 12, talk about the response to Keon in Cleveland, but also what the Kings are getting in DeAndre Hunter. That's all still to come here on Matt and Kayla, Sactown Sports.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com, and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Stockton Honda, we know how to honor a great deal. Like right now during our President's Day sales event. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, you can find star-spangled savings on some of our best models. Why not stop in today and see for yourself? Come celebrate at Stockton Honda and get huge savings on our giant selection, plus top dollar for your trade.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
It is I, George Washington. Let me tell you about a President's Day sale from Big O Tires.
No, listen to me. I'm the honest one.
I got this, Abe. It's really no big deal.
I'll make the declaration. I'm on the $100 bill.
You're not even a president, Ben.
Now through February 22nd, buy 3, get 1 free of 4 select in-stock Big O branded tires with installation purchase.
Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Installation required. Disposal fees and shop fees extra where permitted. See store for pricing. Eligibility may vary. necessary. Not valid with other offers.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Smooth accelerators. When that light turns green, you're off. Like a warm knife through firm butter. Going from 0 to the speed limit in an appropriate amount of time. Sure, your car has horsepower, but your horses prance around as silky smooth as your right foot. Fancy Prancerton. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
You remember me from a show called And Joe? I'm back on the radio, Sacramento. It's Joe Mommy, and when you need your new country fix, join me weekdays from 6 to 10 for the Pat and Cody with Joe show on New Country 105.1 KNCI or on the free KNCI app.
It's Matt George and Kayla Anderson on Sactown Sports 1140.
Before we get to pick a side,
which I'm excited about because I think I need a breather.
Yeah, a King's break.
I need a freaking
breather.
Out.
Tap out. Yeah, we're going to get to pick a side in just a second, but one more time. You have to correct me on the name if I say it wrong. I think I said Melchor going to the break, but I'm going to say Melchor as I invite you on the air. Is it Melchor?
Yeah, it's Melchor. It's a Filipino name.
Amazing.
Nice.
Well, thank you for helping me understand because I'm an idiot when it comes to pronouncing names correctly. So thank you.
No worries. People just call me Mel anyways.
Well, what's up, Mel?
All right. What's up, Matt? What's up, Kayla? And again, congrats, Matt, on this new gig.
My man, I appreciate you.
Say, man. So I want to say something to DeAndre Hunter. I'm very excited for him to be on the Kings. I think what people forget is because he's having such a bad year with the Cavs. This is an outlier. The Cavs are having a disappointing year. But let's not forget where this guy comes from. This guy came from the Virginia Championship where he won the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Took Virginia to, their first title in a long time and scored 27 points there. This guy is a true 3-and-D player that's so coveted and so hard to find. And so we found one of the best, okay? This guy is an elite ISO defender in the league. This year, as well as past years. I mean, statistically, I looked it up on the internet. He's number one in ISO points per possession. And so you're getting this guy who's an elite defender. You're pairing up with another elite on-the-ball defender in Marin. Mm-hmm. And then you also have Dylan Caldwell, backing them up. I see the vision. And why can't this guy be a part of our future? Yeah, he's 28, but that's prime.
Mel, thank you so much for the call. Great call. I mean, one of the realities is, too, if Keon Ellis were as tall as DeAndre Hunter was, Keon Ellis would have been literally perfect.
I was just going to say, I feel like they need bigger here. They want bigger.
The Kings have needed this for a long time, and fans who are frustrated, like, where the hell was this 2 years ago? I don't blame you for that either, because I said the exact when the trade dropped and I saw DeAndre Hunter, I was like, what the hell? Like, now you do it? But I do believe, and I do believe the Kings believe, that DeAndre Hunter can be a piece of what they're doing going forward. He'll play out the final year of his contract next year, and if it looks good, they'll re-sign him to a new deal that's probably for less money because his value has gone down a little bit, and we're finally going to get to see what Keegan Murray looks like next to another defensive wing.
Let's just get Keegan Murray back. Let's just say we've liked to see him next to a lot of people. Let's just get him back healthy.
And also, we've been begging for give us something new to look at, something interesting for the rest of this season. That I am very interested in. What do Hunter and Keegan look like together? Mm-hmm. If they start winning basketball games, then maybe you have to go, whoa. Hey, one of you guys, take a seat. Your ankle hurts again.
For the rest of the season, just sit it down.
The Kings want to see what those two look like, and we're going to get a glimpse at that, and it should give us more context to Keegan Murray as well, which they need to think about when making him part of their core going forward. So there is an element of DeAndre Hunter for sure that I think fans should be interested in and excited about.
Definitely. And I know we'll talk more about DeAndre Hunter coming up with our Locked On guest.
Yeah, with Mr. Danny Cunningham.
Because I'm interested to really get his opinion on what he saw this year and why it wasn't working in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that at
coming up. It's
noon.
in the next segment at
Perfect.
noon. But right now, it's time to pick a side.
Woo! Let's go. Get the ravers out.
Well, guess what, Kayla? We've got another Kings question to start off here.
We'll keep this one
Dang
brief.
it, Kyle.
Apparently.
Keep it brief, and then we'll move on to the other
All
stuff.
right, pick a side. Kings fans should be worried about Scott Perry's first year.
No, absolutely not. There's not enough evidence saying that he's made the wrong moves overall. You can get mad about the Schroder thing recently. I get that. He's at least admitting to his guilt, though, by trading him away. You got to let it play out, though. There's still a lot more moves to be made.
I'll actually say yes, believe it or not, because
Wow.
I think the Sacramento Kings should be nervous and concerned about everything, period. Because this organization
fair.
has to prove to them that Scott Perry is the right guy going forward. They have to prove it, period, with no matter what they do. And one of the most common comments that I've seen that's a negative response to this trade is actually very true. It's this just feels like more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
And this fan base is tired of more of the same. They don't want to go through another saga of a front office doing the exact same thing that the last front office did. So I don't blame any of you that feel that way. I do think you should be worried until Scott Perry gives you a consistent reason to feel otherwise, and that was going to take years anyway. So I'd say yes, you can be worried.
I will break the tie in favor of Matt.
Woo. Okay. I'm an outsider. I got a different take on this one.
But I guess I'm worried more so about the results more than the process. Like, okay, you lose Keon Ellis to move off a contract you signed for Dennis Schroder. Not the end of the world for your rebuild. But in terms of the process, they're so much further away than I think we thought at the start of the season. So maybe that's why you're worried is like, are you going to get the autonomy? Because people also forget, like, part of the reason Tyrese Halliburton got traded for Sabonis was because there was internal pressure to perform in year 3 for Monty McNair to get that extension. And I guess if this thing is going to take 3, 4, 5, if this thing is going to take as long as it takes until you get a star in the lottery, then that, I don't know if that bodes well for Scott Perry specifically.
The final thing I will say, though, before we move on, is this, though. I think the first step to solving a problem is clearly recognizing that you have one, and there's no way anybody in this organization can deny that this is an absolute disaster and a rebuild needs to happen. So in a weird way, embracing the ugly is exactly what this organization needed to do, and now they can't escape it even if they wanted to. All right, next topic.
Next topic. The Grammys were last night.
Yay!
I don't know if anyone paid attention to that.
I saw the tribute to Ozzy. That was cool.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
That's
That's cool. Yeah, clearly we didn't watch the Grammys.
Well, no, I did.
Oh.
I just saw it on social.
Go on with the question.
Anyway, so yeah, based on that, do you care about award shows?
Yeah, in this business, it's really hard to care about anything except for sports, especially if it's during NFL season, NBA season. That I am pretty much focused on sports 24/7, but because the Kings ended early last night, I then flipped it over to CBS, and if I'm going to catch any award show, it's going to be the Grammys. I love music. I love seeing live performances. I saw my guy Justin Bieber, acoustic and all, and definitely a go watch. Look it up on YouTube. It was fantastic.
He needs to put a shirt on, though. He was
Who cares? He looks good. He's gained some weight. He doesn't look
silver
like he's like, not eating anymore. So props to him.
I don't care for award shows. I clip farm when it comes to award shows.
Do
Like,
you?
show me the clips that I need to see. Like, I saw the 4-minute Aussie tribute. I think it was Post Malone performed
I
War
did
Pigs
see that.
with a bunch of
Yeah,
different
yeah.
other guys that I don't know who they are.
Yep.
But, like, that was cool. Or, like, the opening monologues from Insult Comments. Like, I don't even watch the ESPYs. Like, I don't care about even sports award shows. I care about the award shows when it's, like, the MVP of the NBA and stuff like that. But even that, I'll, like, loosely pay attention to. I am not an award show person.
Okay. Kyle, do you like any of it?
Well, I guess I don't. I'm breaking a tie here, so I guess I'm going to kind of lean in the direction of Matt. Only, and this is going to sound super Gen Z, like, I do just pretty much consume it through clips on the internet, right? Which I understand these award shows are trying to push people there because that's how they sell advertisements. I think the Oscars is just going to go completely to YouTube now, beginning in 2028 or 9 or something like that. Jeez. But yeah, I mean, I'll see what happens on Twitter, right? Like
I'm the same way.
I get it.
Like everyone's roasting, what was it, the Cat's Eye performance last night?
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought everyone was roasting Chapel Roan's outfit. That's what I saw.
Didn't see that either.
You might want to look it up.
All right.
It's
no
outfit. It's essentially no outfit.
Oh. Nice.
Anyways. Is this happening now where you guys don't know the people who are nominated or winning awards?
I
know a good portion of them.
Okay, because like if I say Cat's Eye or Olivia Dean or people like that,
I don't know.
I know
either
Olivia
of
Dean.
those.
Cat's Eye. That sounds like a soup.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. This is just interesting from my vantage point of like people
I know
consume
Jelly
things
Roll.
differently.
I know Jelly Roll.
Yep.
Jelly Roll, yep, and all the classics are there too. But no, I'm not a Grammy person, not an award show person. I'll just see it on Twitter.
That's fine.
I'm with you.
What do we got next?
All right, next up, Major League Gaming. And I'm guessing this is a Matt George question. Major League Gaming and esports, big money, but are they just a gimmick? Yes or no?
So there are some very specific esports that I do tap into and pay attention to. But yes, they're a gimmick, and they are like it's so hard to make money in esports, and like I wouldn't call these players athletes necessarily, but they're unbelievably gifted at what they do.
No doubt about that.
So the NBA 2K League has the Kingsguard Gaming team that I think still exists, and I remember interviewing them and talking to them. It's cool what they do. And they have to take care of themselves, and it's an art form what they do for sure. But yeah, the MLG thing and esports gaming stuff, it's really cool if you're kind of niche into that kind of stuff. But to try and make it mainstream is silly, and it never is going to work, and never really did work. Although you go over to certain countries, man, they sell out arenas for that.
I know that you can make some good money doing it, and yeah, you have to be really good at what you do to make that money. I'm just not a gamer in general. Like, my definition of gaming was Nintendo, so you can go bring that back to however long you wanted.
Come on.
But I think it's more of a gimmick, but props to those who make it a job and a career, because it's nothing to blink an eye at. I just don't think, like you said, it will be something where everyone is going to get involved like the major sports.
You got teenagers who are still in high school making six figures minimum.
It's pretty crazy.
Playing on these professional teams. So, hey, good for y'all.
Yeah, no, people nowadays, the kids want to be YouTubers and the kids want to be professional gamers.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing now, and it's actually like feasible and achievable. But I'm not a gamer, so I'm going to say they're a gimmick, because I remember people used to talk about it and now they don't anymore, so that sounds a little gimmicky.
Is that it?
We got one more.
All right, real quick.
Rapid fire.
So, Super Bowl. Are you more into Super Bowl commercials or Super Bowl halftime show?
Oh, halftime show for sure. Halftime show for
okay,
sure.
Even if it's not something that interests you.
Well, it very much depends on the artist, but I'm the kind of person that, like, if the halftime show is on, like, I'm turning it up to listen to it or react to it. And if y'all want to have a conversation, you can just go to the kitchen or go to another room. Like, or don't.
That's
like,
fair.
If it's an artist I care about. And the last few years, like, seeing Usher's halftime performance in person in Las Vegas was freaking awesome. Like, Rihanna's halftime performance was awesome. I'm very excited about Bad Bunny's halftime performance this year. So yeah, I'm all for the halftime performances. The Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre in LA a handful of years ago, like, awesome.
Yeah.
So but I like the commercials too, but halftime is it for me.
I would say halftime just because I'm a music person. I don't love all the halftimes. Sometimes they disappoint, but I love being able to judge them. And then I love being able to talk about if it was legit or not. Commercials are just like, they've gone downhill.
Yeah.
Either they're the same type of things or they're the same companies trying to do the same commercials. I think the commercials have struggled. If you're an advertiser, be better.
Yeah.
You're not going to believe this, but I disagree.
You like commercials?
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Here's the thing. When I was a kid, I thought the commercials were the coolest thing ever, and you'd kind of like just watch and pay attention. I would say post whatever the year the crypto did all the ads over and over, like ever since then, it just feels like the commercials have just kind of gone downhill in quality.
Yeah.
But I did think it was cool when I was a kid. I used to love the Super Bowl commercials, and now I don't really care about either.
Well, we have Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavaliers joining us next. He'll tell us about who the Kings have gotten in DeAndre Hunter and what the reaction is like in Cleveland right now to their new King or new Cav, Keon Ellis, plus Dennis Schroder, too. That's all coming up next here on Matt Kayla, Sactown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-330-2929. That's 800-330-2929.
Hey, this is Greg Papa. Are you working through a major insurance claim? SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to, not what just some adjuster working for an insurance company thinks you should get. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
Tune in every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the Toyota Tahoe Report with Johnny Mosley and me, Elena, bringing you the latest weather conditions up at Tahoe. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
KHD HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sactown Sports 1140. Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
I am very excited to continue the show by bringing on another one of my former brethren at Locked On. What a big day. Was it Saturday? It was Saturday, wasn't it?
Yes.
Man, all the days.
What day is
it? They just all blend together. But really excited to have Danny Cunningham from the Locked On Cavaliers podcast. Does amazing work covering the Cavs, and he joins us now. What is the reaction like in Cleveland, my friend? Are they celebrating in the streets because they got Keon Ellis, or what?
You know, I wouldn't say celebrating in the streets. It's a little cold. It's a little snowy. We're doing that here in lovely Cleveland, Ohio. We're not blessed with the same climate that you guys have over there in the Golden State.
Suckers.
But I do think people are excited, and I think that people are sort of curious given the timing of this move, as you guys mentioned, happening on Saturday night with plenty of time before Thursday's trade deadline as to whether or not this is the first move in a series of moves for the Cleveland Cavaliers, because there's a chance that the roster looks much different at 3 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday than it did when they first made this trade with the Kings. But I do think that this is a deal that Cavs fans feel pretty good about. I think it's a deal that the organization is happy with. Needing to pivot off of DeAndre Hunter, I think, became obvious as more and more time passed and more games were played. But I think overall the Cavs are pretty excited about where they stand at the moment.
Danny Cunningham, Locked On Cavs, joining us. We're talking about the current, recent trade, I should say, between the Kings and the Cavs. Danny, explain to the Sacramento fans maybe what didn't work with Hunter there this past year, as we did see his numbers drop.
So I think the best way to describe this is by using one of the comments that DeAndre Hunter made to us earlier this year, because last year the Cavs traded for him around this time, and the Cavs were a better team at this time last year than they are right now. They enjoyed incredible regular season success. They just, destroyed seemingly everybody that they played, except for, oddly enough, the Kings, who swept them last year. And Hunter said that last year when the Cavs acquired him, he felt wanted. He felt like he was kind of a piece that could put the Cavs over the top, but he also didn't feel like he was needed by the Cavs. And to be fair to him, he was not needed by the Cavs. They were awesome with him, and they were just as good without him too. This year wasn't the same story. The Cavs needed him. He became a necessity. And I just think that change in role didn't necessarily work for him, didn't work for the Cavs. And I do think, too, the Cavs are not entirely blameless in this. His role has shifted a couple of times during this year. He started the year as a starter, then he was coming off the bench. It sort of fluctuated a little bit. So many other guys were in and out of the lineup that I do think somebody that does rely quite a bit on rhythm, the way that Hunter has throughout his career, really struggled to find that rhythm. And I think that led to him having one of the worst, if not the worst seasons of his career, if you just remove his rookie year, because very few players are ever good when they're rookies. So I think those things have kind of contributed to the fact that we're talking about DeAndre Hunter being on the Kings instead of talking about the Cavs being awesome with DeAndre Hunter in the starting lineup, the way that everybody envisioned we would be at the start of this season.
Danny, what do you feel is the most optimized role for DeAndre Hunter, both in like an archetype or like what he's doing on the floor and in terms of starting versus coming off the bench? Because I'd like to believe he's going to start next to Keegan Murray with the grand scheme plan. But DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine are still here, and until one of them is gone, you have to imagine both of them are going to be at least in the mix for starting, although Doug Christie has not been afraid to bench Zach LaVine before, I suppose. But what would you picture if he's a puzzle piece that you're trying to plug in here in Sacramento? What is the optimal way of the Kings utilizing him?
I think the optimal way is probably the way that he was used last year in Cleveland and even in Atlanta prior to that, where he's coming off the bench. He's able to be a microwave type scorer. I mean, in Atlanta last season prior to the trade with the Cavs, he was averaging, I believe, 19 points a game off the bench. Like, he was among the betting favorites for the Sixth Man of the Year award. And then when he came to Cleveland, obviously his role changed a little bit, but he was still awesome and shot the ball really, really well. He is somebody that is, for him to be successful, and like this is not some rocket science statement, he's got to be hitting shots. Like last year it worked because he shot 43% on threes after the trade to Cleveland, and this year a big part of the reason why it didn't work is he shot 30% on threes. That's a gigantic difference. So I do think that him coming off the bench, being in a position where he can have the ball in his hands a little bit, but also where he can play off somebody that can help to create him some wide open looks, because you think about, okay, well, in Atlanta, and Trae Young, of course, is not a basketball player without faults, but he does do a good job of creating pretty good looks on the perimeter for some of his teammates. And Darius Garland, again, not a player without faults, but has done a really, really good job throughout his career of creating some wide open looks for his teammates. So if you compare DeAndre with somebody like that, I think that's sort of how you get the most out of him. And I do think, too, he's going to be better defensively when his offense is going well. This year he was abysmal in off-ball situations. I mean, it felt like every single time he was on the floor, he would get beat on a back cut by, it didn't matter who he was defending. He was, to his credit, I thought, a very good defender in isolation situations, and a lot of the, tracking data does point to that being true. Like when he would be one-on-one with somebody, he's got, he's 6'8", he's got a 7-foot wingspan. He's a really good defender in those situations. It's just the off-ball awareness sometimes wasn't what it needed to be. I do think if he's playing better offensively, that can sort of bleed over in a good way to him being a better defender too.
Danny Cunningham, he's joining us of Locked On Cavs. We're talking about the recent trade between the Kings and the Cavaliers. So it's interesting because here all year, the issue has been the log jam at the guard spot. So clearly something had to be done, and it was done. Now, whether or not fans love it, that's a different story. But Schroder coming over, you've got Keon Ellis coming over to the Cavs. Was this in a way to making this move, Danny, a little bit of insurance because Darius Garland has been a little banged up and that toe is an unknown?
I do think so. I think that it is insurance in a couple of different ways, because Garland obviously has not been able to play very frequently this season. Prior to this last toe injury, I did think that he was starting to turn a corner. But like the first, 18 games that he played just weren't very good. Like, he did not look like somebody that was all that healthy, and we have no idea what he's going to look like when he gets back on the floor following this toe injury on the other foot. So I do think that sort of the way the Cavs are looking at this is maybe Dennis Schroder can be a bit of a replacement for Ty Jerome, who was on the Cavs last year and now is a member of the Memphis Grizzlies, who has missed essentially this entire season. I think he played his first game of the year the other night, but the Cavs have missed that bench production, that guy that might not be a great defender, and I don't think they're expecting Dennis to be a great defender. But can kind of provide a bit of a scoring punch off the bench and can get into the paint. Because the other aspect of this, and everyone looks at Darius Garland, but Lonzo Ball in Cleveland has been a disaster for the Cavs. He's shooting under 30% from three. He's been a good defender, but he has just been such an abysmal offensive player for them. Like when Lonzo Ball is on the floor, the Cavs are effectively a bottom 5 offense in the NBA. When Lonzo Ball is not on the floor, they're effectively a top 5 offense in the NBA. They need a way to change that. And I think that the next move for the Cavs probably is finding a way to dump his salary and get him off of their books and off of this roster. And I think that having Schroder in the picture and having Keon Ellis, too, is somebody who I do think can sort of replace, again, another guy the Cavs traded away in Isaac Okoro from last season, can be sort of trying to recreate last year's team in the aggregate, if you will.
Danny, I'll just put this bluntly. What do you and what do Cavs fans think you're getting in Keon Ellis?
I think Cavs fans think that they are getting a guy on the perimeter who's going to be the best defensive point-of-attack defender of guards in the NBA and is never going to miss a single three-pointer. Well, that is what I think Cavs fans think. That is obviously not reality.
Congratulations.
I think when you go from having some guys on the perimeter who are supposed to be your point-of-attack defenders and good shooters that have just not panned out the way that Hunter and Lonzo Ball have been for the Cavs, I think that's sort of like just what expectations are naturally going to go to. I think a more realistic expectation is sort of what I mentioned, kind of some version of Isaac Okoro. Isaac is a different defender than Keon is, where Keon, I think, is somebody that's going to gamble a little bit more frequently. His steals numbers, I think, are going to be higher than Isaac's were. He's not going to be as strong of a defender. I mean, Isaac is kind of built like an ox, but he's also somebody that should be a better three-point shooter. And I do wonder what he's going to look like from beyond the arc, given some of the cast of characters he might be playing with, because let's face it, in Sacramento, he's not ever played with somebody like Donovan Mitchell. And I just do wonder how that's going to make maybe life a little bit easier for him offensively. And I think that Cavs fans are probably expecting a little bit too much from somebody like Keon Ellis, but given how poorly the player that they traded away had been playing, like, I get why those expectations are there.
Danny, I want to go back to DeAndre Hunter. And while this is more of a broad question about him, you've discussed on what he could be as a player. What are we dealing with? Like, what type of person is Hunter? Have you guys got to know him at all in the brief time that he's been there?
Yeah, so he has been, in my experience with him, and I have gotten along with DeAndre. I had a good professional working relationship with him. He actually came on Locked On Cavs earlier this season. If you want to go listen to him talk in a little bit more of a long format, he joined my podcast. I think it was in November or early December this season. He's somebody that is not going to ruffle feathers in the locker room. He is somebody that is a little bit more on the quiet side. I think he's a little bit more introverted as a person. And I do think last year one of the benefits that he and the Cavs both enjoyed is, to get back to what that roster was last year, he and Ty Jerome are best friends, like legitimately best friends. They played in college together at Virginia, and I think having Ty on the roster last year did ease that transition for him a lot. I don't want to say, well, Ty Jerome's not here, so DeAndre totally changed as a person, because that's not true. But I do think that he was somebody that is a little quiet, and I'm just not sure how easy it is to get him out of his shell. But I do think he's a good guy. Like, he's not going to, at least I would not expect him to cause any issues in that locker room.
So if we say we know Danny, we're good.
I mean, I don't know if good is the word. He and I always got along. I don't know if I would say good, but I mean, maybe.
Everybody knows Danny Cunningham from the Locked On Cavaliers podcast, and we're very thankful that he spending a few minutes with us here on Matt and Kayla this afternoon on this very busy Monday after the trade on Saturday. Danny, the Kings obviously have a bunch of work still to do. But I imagine when they pulled the trigger on this trade, or were contemplating this trade, there was a little bit of daydreaming and doe eyes, thinking about what can the combo of DeAndre Hunter and Keegan Murray look like at the wing or in the front court for the Sacramento Kings defensively as two guys that in theory can handle a lot of that defensive responsibility, whether it's isolation or team defense, and then guys that can hopefully space the floor and knock down the three. I know DeAndre is having a down year in terms of his three-point shooting. Keegan Murray is having a really rough year in terms of three-point shooting, but also has just been hurt and banged up the entire season. What do you make of just spitballing? If Cleveland had Hunter and Keegan together over the last couple of seasons, how well do you think it would have worked?
I think to your point, it entirely depends on how well they shoot the basketball from beyond the arc. Like DeAndre was awesome in Cleveland last year, and it's because he shot 43% on threes. And this year, I think that he let some poor offense affect his defense because he's not as bad of a defender as I think a lot of the tracking data says. I don't know that, he and Keegan Murray would have been the perfect pairing in Cleveland. I think it would have been maybe better than some of the pairings they would have had. But we also, unfortunately for Cavs fans here in Cleveland, we didn't necessarily get to see a very long runway of what DeAndre looked like alongside a fully healthy Cavs team. Because I do think while Keegan Murray and Max Strus are certainly different players, we didn't get to see a lot of what that duo looked like. Max has not played in a game at all this season. And I think that those types of things matter. I do think that the idea of DeAndre right now is a little bit better than who he is in reality, but I do think that he could be an interesting buy low preposition for the Kings, considering just how bad this season is going for him. Like at a certain point, it's got to get better, and I would expect it to get better because I just truly do think that he's a better basketball player than what he has shown so far this season.
Danny, have you been surprised at all just overall with the lack of movement before this trade deadline? I mean, it seems like this was really the second deal that was done, and we are still like just hoping a guy like Giannis gets moved, but I don't even think that will happen till the summer.
Yeah, I am a little surprised by it. I was surprised that there were no trades between the Trae Young deal in, what was that, December, early January, and this trade on Saturday. I was surprised that we've not seen that much movement. I think everybody's waiting on Giannis, though. I really do, because if you are a team like Miami, like Golden State, maybe even like Cleveland, that does have some other assets that could potentially make some sense to trade to upgrade your team right now, why would you make that deal knowing that Giannis could be available? I think that we will probably see an uptick in activity the closer we get to the trade deadline, because I don't think that we're going to get any real movement on Giannis until Wednesday or Thursday. And I think we'll probably see a flurry of moves once we kind of get clearer answers there. But I truly just think everyone in the NBA right now is waiting on the guy from Milwaukee to figure out what's going to happen with that situation.
Danny Cunningham from the Locked On Cavaliers podcast joining us. Now, Danny, as you can imagine, you don't have to be a Sacramento Kings fan to probably understand the Sacramento Kings fan pain and frustration just of how everything is gone, let alone the last few years.
I'm a Cleveland Browns fan.
Hey,
yeah,
well, okay,
exactly,
you know what?
Danny.
You get it. You understand it completely. Never mind. Danny understands. Danny gets it.
Yep.
Put yourself in the shoes of, or even provide because you have the bias in terms of the Cleveland Cavaliers side of things. Put yourself in the shoes of the Sacramento Kings fan that feels like, man, we gave up on Keon, sold low on Keon Ellis, or had to attach him to a contract and basically gave him away for free just so the Cavaliers would take on Dennis Schroder. What is your perspective on how good or bad this trade was for either side, the Kings or the Cavaliers?
I think the Cavs won this deal. I do think the fact that the Cavs had to give up 1 second-round pick, got off of the more expensive player, and got who they believe to be the better player in the trade coming back, I think that they do feel like they won this deal, and I think that a lot of the NBA world agrees with them, and I do too. I think that the fact they were able to get cheaper, didn't have to give up legitimate draft capital. I mean, the fact that Sacramento gave up Keon Ellis, who, I don't think they were ever going to get a first-round pick in exchange for him, but the fact that basically their prize for trading away one of their best assets, one of their, cheapest assets, was getting off of a bad contract in Dennis Schroder that they signed this summer. I would, if I were a Kings fan, I think I would be pretty upset with the way that everything has gone I guess you could say over the past 25 years if you want, but certainly over the past 6 months with the way that this offseason worked out. The trade for Dario Saric, never really understood that. Signing Dennis Schroder to this contract just all of it, and not extending Keon Ellis the way that they could have, and allowing him instead to be an unrestricted free agent this summer instead of even a restricted free agent because they haven't managed that very well. Just like all of those moves are moves that I'm not sure a lot of front offices in the NBA would have made. And I do think that there are a lot of teams that look out there and say, if we can make a deal with the Kings, we're going to feel pretty good about winning that trade.
Well, damn it, Danny, you made it worse, bud. But I will disagree with you. I'll push back a little bit, Kayla, because I don't think Keon Ellis is as good as DeAndre Hunter right now. But maybe eventually, but not right now.
I was going to ask him, do you think that that's the plan long term, Danny? Like, to keep him there? Obviously, with the contract, they could move him. Like, that's the plan. Like, they want him there long term.
I think as of right now, I don't think that you trade for a player that is an expiring contract, especially, it's not like he's going to be on some massive deal moving forward. I do think that when you trade for a player in this situation, the idea is that he's going to be a long-term piece. I think that he makes sense long-term, but this is the NBA, and these things change very, very fast, and you can never say never to anything.
Well, I've been telling Kings fans for the last hour why this isn't a fleece, and now they're like, yeah, Danny's right, Matt, you're an idiot. We want Danny in Sacramento. Whatever. No, I still don't think this is a fleece by any means, Danny. I understand. I think Cleveland Cavaliers fans should absolutely be excited. Ultimately, I think the Cavs got more of what they wanted in the deal than the Sacramento Kings did, but I think that was going to be the reality of the situation, period. And you've gone through years like this in Cleveland, right? Rebuilds and things where you're not going to be in the power positions necessarily in all these trades, and as long as you don't do something catastrophically stupid, like include your future first round picks to go out and get Ja Morant or something like that, ultimately sometimes you have to take the L on some trades just to move in the direction that you want to move. So do you agree with that at all? Do you recall any of that in your time covering the Cavs when they were trying to turn things around before Donovan Mitchell came in and said, I'm the captain now?
Yeah, I mean, it all has to be about asset accumulation. And I think that's part of the reason why I think people feel that, this was not the best trade for the Kings, because I don't know that people view DeAndre Hunter truly as an asset. Like, I think there were a lot of teams out there that viewed his contract as one that had negative value. And I think that when you are in a situation that the Kings are in, that the Cavs were in, I guess, at this point 5 years ago, you have to be building for the future. And I think that, and I understand where the Kings are at right now. Like, they are at the very first stage, I think, of a rebuild where they're trying to tear things down. They have a lot of, and they are, I think, to the victims of the salary cap world, or like just the cost efficiency structure of the NBA changing to where now it is difficult to trade some of the players on the contracts they have in a way that maybe it wasn't when you're trying to reshape a team 5 years ago, and the way the draft picks have changed hands. And I think there are like 7 teams in the NBA that basically control half of the draft picks between now and 2031. I just think it makes it that much more challenging for any team that's in a position like the Kings are right now.
Danny, I want to ask you this as well, at least from the Cleveland's perspective, what Sacramento is going through, the assets that they have. I mean, if DeAndre Hunter truly is a underappreciated asset that's overpaid, well, he's going to fit in great here in Sacramento because they have so many of those already on their books. But one of them is DeMar DeRozan, who Kayla and I are both perplexed as to why there is no market for DeMar. We could even say Malik Monk as well, but DeMar DeRozan, at least, he's got 1 year left on his deal, but it's only $10 million guaranteed for next year. And I don't know how the specifics of the trade would have ever worked. It's probably never happening. But I always looked at the Cleveland Cavaliers as a team that's like a veteran, mercenary type scorer. We all know what he is or isn't on the defensive end, but someone who came off your bench for 15 and 20 or to 20 minutes a game, who has all this veteran experience, that can just go out and get you a bucket when you need it to take some of that pressure off of Donovan Mitchell. That made a lot of sense to me from my completely outside perspective. But whether it's for the Cavaliers or just in the league in general, what do you make of some of these veterans that this Kings team has that they can't get anybody to show any remote interest in?
Well, I think as far as DeMar goes, and I don't think the Cavs had any interest there, mostly because of how much money he makes. If I'm not mistaken, he's making $24 million this year.
Correct.
As you mentioned, what the contract is next year. Well, DeAndre Hunter making $22 million this year. The Cavs are a second apron team. They're not allowed to trade at this point to bring in a single dollar more than what they send out. They also cannot aggregate salaries in a trade unless that puts them on the other side of the second apron at the end of that trade. Is DeMar DeRozan a player at this point in his career that is worth doing all of that maneuvering to have on your bench? I certainly don't think so.
Sure.
So I don't think that the Cavs were willing to combine salaries and end up having to basically trade $50+ million of salary in order to get DeMar DeRozan on the team. That just, to me, was something that never made sense, and I don't think that they had any issue in. I think you look at a lot of the players that the Kings have. You look at DeMar, you look at Zach LaVine, you look at Domantas Sabonis. Right now, in the NBA, one of the things that I think really a lot of teams have looked at is how many role players do you have that can be played off the floor in the playoffs? Because is DeMar a good defender? No. Is Domantas Sabonis a good defender? No. Is Zach LaVine a good defender? No. Is Russell Westbrook, although he's on a minimum, like maybe that's a bit of a different story, and I wouldn't necessarily expect him to be someone that generates a lot of trade because, again, it's a minimum contract. But I look at those guys that are just not good defensive players that also cost a lot of money. I think that's kind of why there would be hesitancy from a lot of teams to say, hey, this is someone that can put us over the top.
Danny Cunningham, you've been unbelievable with your time. Take care of Keon, man. He was such a fan favorite here in Sacramento. You'll get the chance to cover him. He's an unbelievably kind, just warm guy. And I think a lot of Kings fans are reluctantly excited to watch him suit up for the Cavaliers and play in the playoffs and hopefully give you guys some big minutes in the playoffs versus the hopefully deep playoff run that the Cavaliers make. Oh, yeah. And tell Keon to take it easy on the Kings when the Cavaliers are in Sacramento on Saturday because we've seen revenge games and they're not fun to sit through sometimes. And I don't know if you saw Keon's response to the Kings thank you on Instagram, but I think Keon's probably coming into Sacramento with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, Danny.
I am very curious to see how that goes. I'm curious to see if he's going to get one game under his belt before the Cavs play the Kings on Saturday. They're in LA against the Clippers on Wednesday night, so we'll see if that happens. But I am fascinated to see how the rest of this week plays out, Saturday night included.
And I'm going to tell DeAndre what you said about him and make it sound way worse so that he likes me more than he likes you, okay?
I am very excited to hear that.
Danny's the best. He does amazing coverage over the Cleveland Cavaliers. So my Keon Ellis fans, if you want to follow Keon over to Cleveland and watch what he's doing, make sure you tune into the Locked On Cavaliers podcast to get through daily coverage of that as well. It's been a pleasure, Danny. We'll do this again in the near future. We'll do it again when the Kings and Cavs are meeting in the NBA Finals, all right?
Sounds good, man. I'm sure that I won't have any hair left by then, and I don't know what you'll look like either, but we'll plan on it.
Hopefully we're still breathing. That's the only thing we can count on. You're the man, Danny. Really appreciate talking to Danny, his perspective. Cleveland should feel like they won the deal. They got the player that they wanted, and not only that, they got the player that we know half the league was after. So Keon's a good pickup, but now he's got to deliver.
Well, let's also come into the sheer realization here that, I would hope they'd win it because they're still competing.
Yeah.
They're still trying to be a playoff team that can actually go where they were supposed to go because I think that they have underplayed in terms of what they were supposed to do this season. So they're hoping that they won the trade because these pieces need to help them. The Kings are in a different situation right now. They ain't going nowhere. They're trying to get the top pick. So that's a difference, too.
And, Kayla, can we talk about really quick, too, before we go to break? Like, there's pressure on Keon now because, I mean, look, whether you were being treated fairly or not in Sacramento, and there's an easy argument for you being misused, you can blame it on Sacramento all you want. People go, yeah, we know, it's the Kings. Duh. You'll get the pass in that sense.
Right.
But if you're struggling to stay on the floor for a playoff team in the Cleveland Cavaliers, whether you get paid or not, like, it's put up or shut up time for Keon. I think he will put up because that's who he's been. And he's risen to the occasion in his career, but the lights are about to get as bright as they've ever gotten for him.
They are, and he is going to have the more consistency, and that is just something even he mentioned about Hunter not having a lot of that this year. So we'll see how that looks when Hunter comes over here. But yes, I think Keon is going to do his thing over there. Now, is he going to overwhelm? I don't know. I just hope he does well for his own sake, just not when you play the Kings.
What do you say we take a little bit of a break from this for half an hour, okay?
That would be nice. I got to catch my breath a little.
Because the Raiders seemingly have their guy. The Arizona Cardinals seemingly have their guy. The 49ers have their new defensive coordinator. Oh, yeah, it's Super Bowl week, and tonight's opening night. And I'll tell you what opening night was like when I covered Super Bowl in Las Vegas. It's kind of weird, but it's also kind of fun. Sure. So we'll dive into football over the next 30 minutes. We'll get back to Kings Talk.
Q&K, too.
Q&K coming as well. And we have Kings Talk coming for you at 1 o'clock. We'll dive into the Scott Scott Perry, the regrets he might have about his first offseason with the Kings, and moving on from Dennis Schroder after signing Dennis Schroder. That's all still to come. Keep it locked into Matt and Kayla right here on Sactown Sports.
The 10th annual Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame celebration is Thursday, February 5th at the Golden One Center, inducting the class of 2026, plus honoring all of our past inductees. See Sacramento's 50 greatest athletes of all time.
This is Bill Cartwright.
This is Jerry Royster.
This is Tony the Tiger Lopez.
This is Dusty Baker, proud member of the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame. Join us Thursday, February the 5th at the Golden One Center for Sacramento's best sports night of the year.
Get your tickets now at sacsportshof.com.
It is I, George Washington. Let me tell you about a President's Day sale from Big O Tires.
No, listen to me. I'm the honest one.
I got this, Abe. It's really no big deal.
I'll make the declaration. I'm on the $100 bill.
You're not even a president, Ben.
Now through February 22nd, buy 3, get 1 free of 4 select in-stock Big O branded tires with installation purchase.
Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Installation required. Disposal fees and shop fees extra where permitted. See store for pricing. Eligibility may vary. Not valid with other offers.
Hurry in and save big during Honda's President's Day sales event at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Hurry in and save on our best selection of new Hondas. Each is priced to sell now. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop for great pricing on a giant selection of new CRVs, HRVs, Civics, and Accords with low finance and lease options. Plus, get an instant cash offer for your trade. Get to Folsom Lake Honda or go to folsomlakehonda.com.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Hagen Oaks knows you can buy a driver off the shelf anywhere, but Hagen Oaks is the only place where you'll find total game fitting. The Hagen Oaks TrackMan-powered player performance studio fits clubs to your swing. King's Ballnamic Ball Fitter finds your optimum golf ball. The putter fitting studio makes you a better putter, and FootJoy's 3D foot scanner finds your correct fit. In fact, Hagen Oaks will fit you from head to toe with equipment and apparel to make you the player you want to be. It's total game fitting, and it's only at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Febreze. New Febreze Air Mist has 50% more odor fighters and up to 30% more fragrance than the old formula. So now you can take on 100% more stinky odors, like sweaty gym bags, greasy cooking smells, and the after effects of the dog rolling around in something. Just spray, and new Febreze Air instantly restores just clean freshness. Smell you later, odor.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
It's Matt George and Kayla Anderson on Sactown Sports 1140.
Taking a breather from the Sacramento Kings talk. Shout out to everybody who's been with us throughout this wild day.
Been fun.
And don't worry, the Kings talk is not over and done with. And look, it's still trade deadline week, y'all.
We got plenty of Kings to talk.
We still got a lot of time left between now and noon on Thursday, which is the actual trade deadline. And we are hoping, certainly, that the Sacramento Kings are not done. I believe Scott Perry is very much still working in that front office there.
He better be, Matt.
You're absolutely right. He better be. But this week isn't just trade deadline week, Kayla. This week is Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a coach in the Super Bowl, the offensive coordinator for the the Seattle Seahawks. I almost said Pittsburgh Steelers because my brain is fried.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
Clint Kubiak.
Yeah.
Great segue, Matt. He's got a Super Bowl to go out and win. But after that, it sounds like he's packing his bags and he's heading to Sin City to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I know better as a Raiders fan than to get super excited and get my hopes up. But you have the guy at the helm of one of the best offenses in the league stepping into this role where he'll have Fernando Mendoza, we hope, the number 1 pick. Fernando. I'm kind of excited. I think Raiders fans should be kind of excited.
You definitely, if you are a Raiders fan, should be excited. Now, I don't want to take it as far as what I saw on First Take this morning, which was trying to debate if they're going to be a contending team next year. Shut up with all of that. First of all, we don't need to set expectations that high.
Come on,
for
Fernando.
That franchise.
MVP.
And Fernando. Like, they need to just get their whereabouts, in line. And then we can maybe the year after talk about some of that stuff. But in all seriousness, I think you should be excited if this, in fact, becomes official, which it's supposed to right after the Super Bowl. Just some background on Clint Kubiak. If you're not aware of this, he is the son of former Broncos coach Gary Kubiak. So clearly they have a whole family tree of coaches. That is never a bad thing when you have grown up with a father who coached in the league and had success.
Kind of went well for Kyle Shanahan, didn't it?
It went very well for Kyle Shanahan.
In fairness, all of these assistants are the children of coaches.
Sure.
But you know what? When you grow up around that, you have a natural ability to kind of know how to coach. Mm-hmm. And some succeed more than others. So Seattle was ranked 3rd in points this year with 28.4 per game. So that's huge, considering the fact that last year it was not a great offense. So with Mike McDonald bringing on Clint Kubiak this year, it was a home run hire. Mm-hmm. And obviously the biggest reason why he was a head coaching candidate after this season and is looking to get the Raiders job. They were 8th in total offense, tied for 10th in rushing. I mean, the numbers go on and on. So clearly he has made his mark. I'm excited because he's young. And this is what really the Raiders were looking for. A young, energetic, offensive-minded coach that can work with the young quarterback. Yep. Yes, they need to get things in line around him, like starting with the offensive line.
Yeah, that would help.
But I think the organization and having Tom Brady involved, which I guess their meeting, Clint and Tom's went off without a hitch. Good. I think it was what I had heard. It was great. I think you should be excited if you're a Raiders fan.
I think if you're Clint Kubiak too, you're looking at the Raiders, and I know the organization's been a dumpster fire for a long time, but you look at the pieces that you have, especially for an offensive mind. No disrespect to Max Crosby in the defense. We know there's some good pieces over there too. Yeah. But you're Kubiak and you're stepping in again. You're expected to have Fernando Mendoza. You got Ashton Genty. You got one of the best tight ends already in the league in Brock Bowers, right? You've got these weapons that now you need to add on more to it. And the receiving core needs a little bit of work in Las Vegas, to say the absolute least. And yes, it's funny. First Take is talking about, are the Raiders a contender now? Look, a Raiders Super Bowl for me is getting an offensive line that doesn't get Fernando killed.
Thank you. Yes.
I just don't
want a left tackle.
I don't need Fernando Mendoza and Ashton Genty to be in a hospital because that offensive line got them killed. That to me is winning the Super Bowl for the Raiders this year. Yeah. But I like the idea of Kubiak being young, kind of a fresh start. I also need the Las Vegas Raiders to get him in the building, get him the weapons that he needs, or work on that offensive line, and then get the hell out of the way.
Yep.
Let it rock for a couple of years. Even if these next couple of years aren't very good, and they very well may not be because of the division that you play in, plus it takes time unless you have a Chicago Bears resurgence, and Fernando as a rookie is ready to do what Caleb Williams did in his second season, right? Yeah, second season.
Jaden Daniels went to the NFC Championship game as a rookie.
Hey, relax. All right, relax. We're talking about the Raiders here.
I'd almost not. It's like every time that happens, though, they have like the worst sophomore season.
Yeah, just let him cook. Let him cook. Give him the time. You have to change the culture in Las Vegas. So don't anybody get in the way. Just let him build and start to grow and be patient with it. That's what I'm hoping the Raiders do with Kubiak, and I'm glad I'm glad it's not just a retread. It's a new face.
It's a new face, but it's not one like Arizona in terms of hiring Mike LaFleur. Like, look, I get it. He's Matt LaFleur's brother, and Matt LaFleur has done great things in Green Bay, but he truly is like a real genius offensive mind. I'm not saying Mike isn't, but Mike, to me, hasn't done enough yet to prove, like, on his own that he can be that head coach. I just think, like, Clint's done a little bit more because Clint is up in Seattle, and the offense is pretty much all his to take care of because Mike Macdonald is a defensive-minded coach.
Right.
It gives so much more responsibility to the offensive coordinator, and if you have a good offense, it goes really highly on you and only you.
I'm just really curious, too, because, again, Clint hasn't accepted this position, can't do anything until after this Super Bowl stuff is worked out. I'm very interested to see what Clint's staff looks like,
That's
too,
what I am,
how
too.
much he poaches and picks from.
Jim Schwartz is out there.
You just never know, right? But speaking of the staff, we have an answer to the defensive coordinator vacancy in Santa Clara / San Francisco with the Niners after, of course, Robert Saleh went to be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. And it sounds like Raheem Morris is going to be the guy next to Kyle Shanahan. What did you think of that hire?
Well, first of all, props to our first week guest, Diana Rossini of The Athletic. She came on our show, and she is really she was mentioning names when we asked her, who are the Niners looking at? She pretty much said, like, Raheem Morris is who they're targeting.
Yep.
And so props to Diana for calling that a couple weeks back. But I like the hire a lot. I would love to see Jim Schwartz there too, but I do think Raheem fits the mold a little more in terms of the younger defensive mind, the energy guy, and I just love the connection between him and Kyle Shanahan. They played together when they were in coached together when they were in Tampa Bay, in Washington and Atlanta, so they are familiar with each other. And I think the reason for bringing a guy like him over is not only the enthusiasm he brings, like a Saleh, but also the type of defense that he can bring over here. He is versatile in the way that he can run certain defenses. He can disguise well. He's gone from different defenses everywhere he's been and has been able to kind of incorporate that into what he's doing. So I think that is what Shanahan was looking for. You always want to confuse your offenses you're going against. You never want to be like a basic defense where you know what you're going to get. He has the ability to do that.
And I think one of the things about this hire that's interesting too, and this is just kind of a coaching philosophy in general, is you don't want to try to have to replace your predecessor. Right, you're not going to replace Robert Saleh, D'Amico Ryans, right? How many defensive coordinators have been poached from the Niners recently?
Like
Robert
everyone.
Saleh this is the second time Saleh has been poached from
Morris
the Niners.
might be too next year.
If he does his job, he probably will be.
I loved the person on the internet who made the joke that every year for the next 10 years it's going to be Saleh gets a job, Morris becomes the DC, Morris gets a job, D'Amico gets fired, he becomes the DC, D'Amico gets a coaching job, Saleh gets fired, and it's just going to be those three rotating the Niners DC job.
Shanahan's figured it out.
Yeah,
he's like, no matter what, I will always have a head coach level defensive coordinator ready to go, and Raheem Morris seems to fit that mold. Well, I ran and took our first sticky note off the wall. We put a few sticky notes up there on the wall of predictions for this show. And this one was the last team to fill their head coach position. I lost because I picked the Browns, so I'm bowing out of this conversation. But we might have to get the lawyers involved because...
Can we ask the listeners?
Well, yeah, what the listeners think.
I thought we were going to go to the George Anderson law firm.
Well, I mean, they're out of business. Our clientele's really low right now.
I needed that money, Matt.
We had to defend a murderer, and we did a terrible job.
Well, here we are. Now's our chance.
He's guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, oops, he was not guilty. So I picked the Browns to be the last team to fill their head coach position. I lost badly.
Right.
Kayla, you picked the Cardinals. Kyle, you picked the Raiders. Technically, the Cardinals are making the hire before the Raiders are making the hire. However, we know Kubiak was a finalist for both the Raiders and Cardinals positions.
True.
Kubiak informed the Cardinals of his intent to go with the Raiders, and then the Cardinals picked LaFleur. So if it matters, if my input matters here, I'm giving the win to Kayla.
Because it was official.
Because,
Because Kayla's right.
Because Kayla's right, and she's in this room and can hurt me, and you're over there.
That's a very good selection.
I can be swayed. You just have to threaten me. I can be swayed.
But the Raiders' job technically hasn't been filled yet.
It technically has not, but the Cardinals made their hire based off of what Kubiak told them about the Raiders' job.
But Tom Brady could barge in on Wednesday and say, I'm shutting this down.
He's going to be too busy working at the card shop that he just opened.
Right.
He don't care.
Here.
He's selling cards down at Doco. So I give the win to Kayla, but I mean, listeners, does Kayla get the win, or does Kyle get the win via technicality? And do you want that win? Do you feel good about a win by technicality?
I mean, a win's a win, right?
Ugh, gross.
I mean, nothing feels better than being right, Matt.
That's true. That is true. More Post-its indeed to come. And so is more football talk. NFL Super Bowl week has begun, and the first night is opening ceremony, if you can call it that. I experienced it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Should they do something different?
And I got my question.
Kayla and I will talk about that and Q and K. That's coming up next right here on Sactown Sports.
This is Bill Cartwright. Join us Thursday, February 5th at the Golden One Center for the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame celebration.
Progressive Insurance knows pets, and one of the biggest differences between people and pets is that we don't eat things off the floor. But dogs definitely will, and it makes them so happy, no matter what it looks like, smells like, or what state of decomposition it's in. We all want to go through life that carefree, and that's also why you should get Progressive Pet Insurance, because they eat things off the floor. So protect your pet from all the questionable life decisions they make. You know where they drink from when you're gone, right? Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
Finding excuses to not do your taxes? Unsure where to start? Sounds like you may be suffering from FOMO, the fear of messing up. The cure? Filing your federal and state taxes for free using TurboTax on Credit Karma. All you have to do is start and finish filing on your own in the Credit Karma app by February 28th. Just keep in mind, this offer is available only if you didn't file with TurboTax last year. It's time to break free from your fear of messing up. Start filing for free today in the Credit Karma app.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave here for Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, inviting you to come join them every Wednesday for their midweek madness drawing, giving away $2,000 in total cash starting at 6 p.m. It's a safe and friendly environment, plenty of well-lit parking available, and it's conveniently located right there in downtown Sacramento. And remember, best food, best service, best games, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com and gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Join Sactown Sports downtown before every Kings game and pick up an In-Shape Fitness Kings Rally Towel while supplies last. If you walk, lift, stretch, or sweat, you belong. Start the year strong and join today at InShape.com.
At Stockton Honda, we know how to honor a great deal. Like right now during our President's Day sales event. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, you can find star-spangled savings on some of our best models. Why not stop in today and see for yourself? Come celebrate at Stockton Honda and get huge savings on our giant selection. Plus top dollar for your trade.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
When a person is seriously injured, there's no substitute for the personal legal relationship offered by the local NorCal firm of Ashton & Price. From the first attorney meeting, every important decision is made with a direct consultation with, and I can't believe I have to say this, a real, live, experienced, flesh and blood local attorney. It's called Home Court Advantage for a reason. Ashton & Price, serious local attorneys for serious people with serious injuries with no fee until we win. For the best local advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Country in the Park is back. May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo. Miranda Lambert. John Party. And more. Line dancing live DJs, Mechanical Bulls, huge festival area, and food trucks. Tickets start at only $68. It's the perfect Valentine's gift. Surprise them with live country music and dancing. Country in the Park, May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center and Hilton Sacramento. For more info, visit CITPFest.com.
Heading into 2 p.m., Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
From the YouTube comment section, the live stream on Sactown Sports 1140 from Dustin Bradford. So just to clarify, Matt lost bad, like really bad. And this was a 2-horse race between Kayla and Kyle. Yeah, you'll get used to that on this show. You'll get used to that. Matt just blabs. It's Kayla and Kyle that
Not
actually are.
everything. We won the game show on Friday.
We did.
Football Feud.
We beat the crap out of Alan and Kyle.
I don't remember that.
Oh, you don't?
It was a whooping.
The New York Jets. That's what. By the way, that was the week after
Jets.
I said the Chicago Bears.
It was, but you redeemed yourself.
No, I don't know.
He didn't redeem himself. I slipped on the banana peel after he slipped on it.
That was a big
I dragged him down
peel,
with me. The brain cells connected.
That was fun though.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is we had like a show competition of which would be the last team to hire their head coach. I picked the Browns. LOL.
Yeah.
I was way wrong, but Kyle picked the Cardinals and Kayla picked the Raiders and
Other way around, right? No.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, other way around. What
did I say?
I had the Raiders. She had the Cardinals.
Whatever. Who cares? You
Same
guys won.
type.
I
Same
lost. It
thing.
doesn't matter. I don't. As soon as I lose, I tune out, which is bad for
Which
me. It's great partnership.
In fairness, my entire thought process was the Raiders are going to hire Kubiak, therefore it's going to be after the Super Bowl, which is technically true.
Yeah.
But Kubiak already told the Raiders he would take their job.
All right. Well, I'm still giving the win to Kayla because she's closer to me.
No, it is correct. If the Cardinals hadn't known Kubiak would drop out, they wouldn't have hired LaFleur.
And I also have to give her the win because this is her segment. So when we do a Q&K segment, it's all about everything that Kayla wants.
you gotta
Again,
make sure.
out of fear. So now let's do a little Q&K.
All right, are we ready for this?
Let's do it.
It is a Monday. It is the start of Super Bowl week. Put your thinking caps on, guys and gals, because I want to know what was the most memorable Super Bowl and why.
Ooh.
That is great.
Because I had to go digging, but then I was like, there was one that just stood out. And that was between the New York Giants and the Patriots. That was the
catch.
The helmet catch. I remember where I was when that happened in my apartment in Montgomery, Alabama. Like, I can give you all the specifics. There's got to always be like one that sticks out.
So that would have been my answer, but I'll come up with two different kind of side answers. One was a very painful Super Bowl as a kid, but I was young enough to where like, okay, I'm just going to go outside and play football and not matter. That was the Raiders versus the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
What happened?
Nothing. But
Nothing.
the other one that I remember vividly, because it was a really enjoyable Super Bowl, was Saints versus Colts. Really enjoyed that Super Bowl. Peyton Manning versus Drew Brees, right? And the onside kick that no one saw coming.
That's
that
a
was
good
just
one.
A really fun game, and I remember watching that with a bunch of family, and really enjoyed that one. So I'll pick that one. And then selfishly too, Niners and Chiefs Part 2 was pretty fun because I got to see it in person, and being there was incredible. Although let me tell you, while y'all
Were
are
you
watching,
there for the game?
yes.
Oh, that's cool.
While y'all were watching the commercials at home, we sit there and stare at the players sitting there in a huddle for like 5 straight minutes. The pace of the game is terrible in person.
When did the
because of
lights
all the
go
Super
out?
Bowls.
What Super Bowl
that
was
was
that?
that was Ravens Niners.
Yeah, that was in New Orleans.
Wild.
Yeah, that was Colin Kaepernick and the. I always get it mixed up. The Niners almost came back because of that, or
Yes.
that's what it was.
Yeah. That was wild. Kyle, what's yours?
You know what's so funny, Kayla, is that as you say this and I'm reflecting back, like, and maybe this is just how, like, I measure time and sports pilled and everything else, but, like, I distinctly remember where I was for, like, pretty much every Super Bowl. Like, it's almost a marker in time.
That's impressive,
Of,
Kyle.
like, granted, it's only been, like, 8 Super Bowls, but, you know.
Okay.
But, like, my earliest Super Bowl memory was, I think, the Patriots-Giants was, like, where I actually understood what was happening.
42, I believe it was.
Yes.
Super Bowl 42.
That was an incredible Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think I remember, like, where I was for the Bears-Colts one, but I didn't have any concept of, like, what football was at that point.
Sure, you were still learning.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a baby Kyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, but as I'm going back, I'm like, oh, the Panthers Broncos. I was at my house, or like we had a TV in the backyard for when the Seahawks beat the Broncos, or like I was a freshman in college when Mahomes won the first. Like I distinctly remember where I was for all of these Super Bowls, but I think the one that's like now most special to me is the Chiefs-Niners Part 2 a couple of years ago, because Kansas City, that was the most fun of all the Kansas City championships. And my roommate and best friend is a Niner fan, diehard. We were watching it together. We were both like curled up in the corner when it was going to overtime because we were just dead inside by how crazy that game was.
That was good.
I think that's the most fun I've ever had watching
good.
a Super Bowl, even though it was only a couple years ago. And the Chiefs won.
Someone's answer somewhere is Seahawks versus Patriots.
I don't want and
Marshawn Lynch.
oh my God,
be
it's
careful.
giving me really, really bad memories.
Well, do you feel like you have any chance of feel-good revenge now that the Seahawks are playing the Patriots again?
Okay,
Circumstances very different.
Guess what? I would like to, y'all, but the fact that Sam Darnold is still haunting me, and the other fact that I know Mike Vrabel is coaching the other
She's
team,
conflicted.
and I know Mike, and
She's
I covered
conflicted.
Mike. Yeah, it's I have a really bad feeling that maybe Sam does something just as stupid as Pete Carroll did in terms of not putting Lynch in.
The other one, I know we're going to talk about the Super Bowl, but the other one I just remembered that deserves a shout to is watching them come back from 28-3 and just the slow, the Patriots are charging back against the
Atlanta.
Falcons.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan would love to forget that game.
And Matt Ryan just his whole
I hated the Patriots and wanted the Falcons to win, but in hindsight, I was like, this is actually really cool.
It was kind of cool.
Well, whether Seahawks fans are hoping for revenge against the Patriots this upcoming Sunday, or if the slate is completely wiped clean because that was forever ago and these teams are very, very different. Tonight is opening night of Super Bowl week. And like I said, I got to cover it when it was the Niners and the Chiefs at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. An unbelievable experience, but I'm not kidding you when I tell you I probably worked 100 hours that week. It's one of those things where it's you have to experience it, and it's adrenaline, but it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Now Vegas, unfortunately or fortunately, everything's right there, so it's not like San Francisco, Santa Clara.
You're not traveling
people are going to be
everywhere.
bouncing all over the place, and,
Sure.
and good luck to all of our friends out there who are dealing with that. But opening night was weird because we had just gotten there. I was working for ABC 10 at the time, and my partner Kevin John and I, we go to Allegiant Stadium, and basically we walk out onto the field at Allegiant Stadium, and that's the first time I'd ever been in that building, and it's gorgeous. And basically they have all these different stations, and they bring different players out and coaches out, and you can interview them, and it's just a mosh pit mob media, and then the fans can sit in the stands and just basically watch.
Sure.
It was a cool thing to experience as a media member. But as a fan, I'm like, why would you go? So the question that I had is, we also have the Olympics starting, and we know the Olympics always do these extravagant opening ceremonies based off the host country and everything like that. I don't think the Super Bowl needs to go that crazy, but should the Super Bowl make the opening ceremony actually more of an opening ceremony? Because even if the NBA trade deadline is going on, the Super Bowl is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sporting event in the world.
Yeah.
How you can?
that's interesting.
You can gloss that up. Should they do more of an opening ceremony for Super Bowl week?
Like Sam Darnold, bringing the torch, through the stadium
and dropping it and fumbling
it. Or throwing it across the field and lighting it on fire. It's interesting because it is the biggest sporting event in America, right? Whether you like it or not. And Media Day has become really what we see it as the opening event. That's what is known as the opening event. But I don't really know how much people care anymore. Because all it is, and even the live coverage of it, is just all these random people trying to get in their questions.
Yeah, it's a mob.
It's a hodgepodge. Yeah. And it's what are we really learning, or what's really cool about this? So it'd be interesting to see if the NFL got creative, what type of an opening ceremony would it be that people would actually be interested in, because maybe they're not interested at all. But the Media Day, it's would I like to be there? Sure. For my own personal reasons, it would be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think it appeals to the average watcher.
The fun part of it, though, is opening night is the night when everybody's there and Super Bowl week is starting, and it's not like a media availability after a practice, which is very strictly football. Media Day is meant for here's the
fun.
Pompous and extravagance and circumstance, so you can kind of sneak in the fun questions, the crazy questions. So being feet on the ground, getting to ask because again it was the Niners, so being able to ask George Kittle silly questions, and George would always play ball. It was a fun time. Travis Kelce was there, and that was in the height of the Kelce and Taylor Swift stuff. So he got a lot of questions about that. So if you were there, if you're covering the event, and I'll open this to Kyle and then listeners if you want to share too, who between these two would you want to ask a question to whether it's coaches, players, whoever. And what would the question be?
Mine's simple because, being able to, if I were there and be able to reunite with Coach Vrabel, who I covered for 6+ years.
They text, by the way. They're best buds.
I wish that we could get him on the show. Yeah, but I would definitely go talk with Coach Vrabel. And I don't know what my question would be. My question would be, like, how much more fun are you having now that you're actually, on a winning team that believes in you? Just something petty as hell.
What's it like being free of the Titans
Exactly.
organization?
What is it? That's a good one. That's a great one.
Just real quick, there's no one that I'm like, I have to learn more about this person that I feel like, but Jackson Smith-Njigba might be the best receiver in the NFL, and I know nothing about him.
That's a great point, Kyle.
So I would like just maybe ask so I know what his voice sounds like and know a couple things about him.
That's a really good point.
He'll get a lot of attention this week, and rightfully so. Super Bowl week is fun, and of course, the Super Bowl content and the conversation will last all week long, but break time's over, guys. When we come back from this commercial, we're back into the Sacramento Kings talk. We got Tay on the line. He wants to dive into the Kings conversation, and we're shifting the perspective in the conversation to Scott Perry's summer, last summer. The moves that he did make. How much does he regret some of the decisions that he made, and how much of it should be held against him in hindsight based off of the Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroder trade from Saturday? That's all to start the final hour of the show. It's Matt and Kayla right here on Sactown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If your business depends on reliable vehicles, it's time to upgrade your fleet at myelkgrovechevrolet.com. We specialize in fleet pricing, bulk discounts, and fast approvals, so your team stays on the road and on the job. From work trucks and vans to fuel-efficient sedans and SUVs, we have the inventory, service, and financing to keep your business moving. Call or visit myelkgrovechevrolet.com today and ask about exclusive fleet savings. myelkgrovechevrolet.com. Driving business forward.
Hi, this is Greg Papa. Disasters hit every day. If your home, business, or building has suffered from any disaster, SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to and letting your focus be on what's most important, your family or your business. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884. Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Gradual breakers. You keep your eyes on the road, so you've seen it all. As long as it all happened directly in front of you, like a Swedish masseuse, your foot knows exactly the right amount of pressure to apply to the brake. That's why your passengers feel totally relaxed with you behind the wheel and occasionally super sleepy. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Hurry in and save big during Honda's President's Day sales event at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Hurry in and save on our best selection of new Hondas. Each is priced to sell now. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop for great pricing on a giant selection of new CRVs, HRVs, Civics, and Accords with low finance and lease options. Plus, get an instant cash offer for your trade. Get to Folsom Lake Honda or go to folsomlakehonda.com.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sactown Sports 1140.
KHD 1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sactown Sports 1140.
It's Matt George and Kayla Anderson on Sactown Sports 1140.
All right, break time from the Kings conversation is over. I'm Matt George. Kayla Anderson joining me, putting in a contact. I know that face.
No, I don't have contacts.
Oh, you're just getting a lash out of your eye?
I have my left eye all day has been bugging me. So I only wear glasses, if you're wondering, if you're on the chat. I don't need glasses, except for when I'm on a computer.
Oh.
Because I strain my eyes up close.
The blue light or whatever, too?
Well, and up close, it's smaller. So
Gotcha.
I have to have, like, glasses for up close.
Gotcha.
So it's
like
weird
reading
when
glasses.
I'm not having my glasses on outside of here. Like, my eyes go through, like, a change.
Oh, really?
So it's like I've had this thing in my eye all day this morning. So if you see me in my eye,
Kayla's getting
don't
emotional.
Mind me.
She
I'm
misses
getting emotional about Keon.
She misses Keon.
I already do.
She misses Keon. She's getting
really
emotional. We've had a lot of fun with the conversation about
I really
the
just
Keon
be
Ellis
chilling
trade.
for real.
And it's Keon. He's definitely not chilling when he comes back to town on Saturday, let me tell you. He and the Cavs, I think, are going to bring the business to Sacramento on Saturday, and I don't know what freaking version of the Kings is going to take the floor because last night's version in Washington, D.C. was brutal. And before we talk about the Scott Perry element going back to the offseason and some of the things that he needs to wear and the parts that he is to blame for, I do want to get to something from last night's game that actually really bothered me other than having to watch last night's game.
Let's do it.
Tay, I see you on hold. We'll get to you in just a second when we get back to the trade and Scott Perry conversation. Nick Clifford took 3 shots in, how many minutes did he play? 29 minutes. Had 3 rebounds, 4 assists. I also understand that he started at the point guard spot because the Kings had, like, Russ was out, Domantas Sabonis out. They just traded away Dennis Schroder and Keon Ellis, so they're obviously not playing. So Neek steps into a role that he's unfamiliar with, and as a rookie, the 24th pick, dealing with all these veterans, like I understand excuses, blah, 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 trying to be a good teammate, blah, 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 blah. We are at the point of the season where clearly it doesn't matter because Isaiah Stevens and Daquan Plowden both played a lot of minutes last night. Both those guys played more minutes than Devin Carter did last night, by the way, which is just hilarious.
Wild.
Hilarious in its own right, but not to get too far off track here. I felt every time Neek had the ball in his hands that he was doing as much as he could to get rid of it as soon as he could.
This is correct.
The entire game. And I'm not here to bash Neek or anything like that, but my man, one of the reasons why, and the Kings made it very clear based off of all the Sacramento reporters that put it out, one of the reasons why they made the move, they moved on from Dennis Schroder, was because they wanted to remove that logjam at the guard position to therefore open up more opportunities for Neek. At this point in the season, for the remainder of this season, wins do not matter. In fact, wins are counterproductive. Developing players and experimenting and taking chances, that is what this is about. And Kayla, the only way that Neek Clifford can fail in my mind is for him to be timid and afraid to try things.
Yeah.
And last night, taking 3 shots in 30 minutes, I would rather him go 2 for 18, 5 games in a row, than to see him go 1 for 3 or 0 for 3 or something like last night. Shoot the basketball. Now is your time. And that goes for all the rookies, even Dylan Cardwell to some extent. Don't shoot too much, Dylan.
Yeah, you don't need to shoot that much.
Especially with Neek. Like, we're still waiting for you to show something, and don't let it just be for one game. Show us something. Now is the time for you to try things. And 3 shots was inexcusable to me.
I brought up on the show a couple of weeks ago that what have we seen from Neek Clifford? And it was before he was in the starting lineup because of some of the injuries that had happened. And then there were a couple games where he started to play more, because I think one of the answers we had for that was that he just wasn't seeing consistent minutes. Doug needed to leave him out on the floor more so that he could learn and play through some of these mistakes. Well, guess what? Nick Clifford has now been given minutes, and he's been given consistent minutes, 20 plus. He's been coming out as a starter in a lot of these games. There have been plenty of games where he can start to build on that confidence, because I get it. When you're a rookie and you are playing against the league's best every single night, it can be a bit of a change from your college days, no matter how much experience he has at 24 years old playing at Colorado State and Colorado and all these different places. But he is a first-round pick. I don't care that he was the 24th pick. Well, I don't care.
You traded up to get him.
You traded up to get him. He's a first-round pick. He has had opportunities now to pretty much take the reins a little bit and play his type of basketball that we saw in Summer League against, granted, lesser players, but still we saw that natural ability Nick brings and versatility he brings. And I am seeing from last night especially like a timidness to him, not confident in terms of just taking the shot. And this is the time to do it, young fella, because nobody cares if you're winning games.
Yeah.
We're past that point.
Yeah.
We've got to start seeing growth in the players who are predicted to be the future, and especially guys like Nick Clifford who were first-round picks.
And look, Nick has had some moments where he's gone for like big dunks and things like that. A couple of them have paid off, and you're like, wow, that was awesome. More often than not, he's been getting blocked at the rim or not converting the dunk or whatever. And Doug Christie has challenged him. Go up and test those centers. And I use that as a very specific example because when he didn't get those dunks, when he got blocked, are we talking about those moments? No. We don't care. You went for it. Good. Try to shoot off the dribble. Try some insane stuff that make us go, ugh. Like Daquan Plowden went, I think, 0 for 3 or like 1 for 3 from three-point range or something last night. I don't have the box score in front of me. He airballed a 3 badly. And it was like, ugh. But I don't care because it's a guy who's trying to make the most of his opportunities. He's not really a Stockton Kings player. Like, he's out there, he let it fly. It was a bad shot. So what?
I can't remember even talking about it after that. I was like, whatever.
Who cares? Like, go out and try some things.
Daquan Plowden in 24 minutes was 0 for 3. 0 points.
And he, okay, but that's a young player that got his first extended opportunity of NBA minutes, and it was different. It was overwhelming. But we're not talking about Daquan Plowden. We're talking about Nick Clifford, who the Kings used the 24th overall pick for. And I'm not expecting Nick to come in and all of a sudden now, Nick, you're averaging 15 points a night for the remainder of the season.
That's not what we're saying.
Just try some things.
Yeah.
Show us something. Show yourself something. Build some confidence. Add some things to your game. Try and fail. Because, again, the only way you truly can fail is if you don't try.
Yeah.
And last night was like, again, I know he was taking over the point guard position and everything, but last night was just dude, you looked afraid, and now is your time. Like, now is your time.
And real quick on the note, just bringing up Dylan Cardwell, who's a total different player and in a different role and has had a different journey to get here and to see playing time. I also want to see like a little more out of Nick in terms of, I'm not expecting you to be like Dylan Cardwell at all, but I almost feel like Nick, like I'm like the excitement level, like he's so calm, cool, collected. I'm not asking him to be like hyping up the crowd, but sometimes like I feel like he goes missing just because he's either not taking the shots, but I also don't feel like the presence always.
It's like, show me.
Is that hard to? I don't want to know if I'm explaining this.
No,
correctly.
I think so. I think the word that I would use is impact.
Yeah.
Like Dylan, we see the impact, and we love the playing to the crowd and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not asking.
But we see Dylan's impact. Maxime Reynaud, we see his impact, even though he's been struggling lately.
Right.
We see
but
his
he's
impact.
Vocal too.
Yeah. We're still waiting for Nick. What is your NBA impact? That's how I would describe it.
That's a good way to put it, Matt. Yeah.
I want to address this too, this comment from Sactown Tony, because I've seen this too. ISO ball for Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan doesn't really open up opportunities for Nick. Don't blame them. DDR and Zach suck up all those shots. We need to stop blaming everything on the veterans. We blamed Keegan Murray's stunted development on DeMar DeRozan for years. And yes, it's true that there are less shots and less opportunities when you're on the floor with those guys. And you and I've talked about ad nauseum, like the Kings can't go too heavy on those vets. They had no choice last night, Kayla, because nobody else was, one, able to score the ball, or two, looked like they wanted to.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan went, well, hell, I don't even know half these players on the roster that I'm playing with right now, number one, and no one else is shooting, so I guess I gotta.
Right.
Like
someone's got to do it.
I don't want DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine to take 25 shots a night each. I don't want that at all. I think that's counterproductive. But when you give them no freaking choice, like Nick Clifford had the ball in his hands. He's the point guard. They're running through you. At the very least, you're taking the ball up the floor. You don't have to give the ball to DeMar DeRozan if you don't want to. Create. Do something.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything.
No, Johnny says sorry, by the way.
No.
Johnny goes, sorry, Matt.
Wait, what did Johnny apologize for?
Well, you just went off.
Oh, no, Johnny, you're fine.
Johnny's good.
It was Sactown Tony that I was responding to.
Oh, it was Sactown Tony.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know what
There's
Johnny's...
so many of you in the chat today, which we appreciate. It's just fun keeping up with everything, but it's hard to.
But I understand I do understand what Tony is saying to some extent.
Yeah.
And yes, the veterans, especially when Russell Westbrook is out there too, it's like, okay, there's only
so
many shots to go around.
But Westbrook has not been here for the last couple of nights.
And Neek, like, it's easier to say from my standpoint of, hey, Neek, like, put your foot down and tell these veterans that you're going to get some shots too. But we saw in Detroit, when you're aggressive, they'll give you the ball.
Yeah.
They did it.
By the way, that's the Neek I want to see.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you score 15 points like you did in that game, but play 33 minutes and shoot the most.
But he had a presence.
Yes.
He had a presence.
He tried things. Try things. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not expecting Neek to be great. The only thing that I will not accept from Neek Clifford is taking 3 shots or being passive.
No.
Like, I know you're trying to be a good teammate. I know you're learning a lot. I'm not going to pretend like I know how to play in the NBA. I don't. I'd be afraid to touch the basketball, let alone shoot it. I'd foul out in 3 seconds out of fear.
This girl would foul out because she'd be
just
hacking. I would be hacking.
Just hacking.
Real Maxime Renault over there, just fouling all the time.
Believe it.
That's Dylan Cardwell's shtick.
Better believe it.
Dylan Cardwell knows how to foul.
I cannot describe the amount of time. There was one game this year where it was in Sacramento where I tuned in late and I was like, oh, Maxime already has 6 fouls. That's why Dylan's in. And then Dylan had 5 fouls. I was like, how is that possible?
Yep, we might want to get used to that a little bit. All right, guys, let's talk about Scott Perry.
Yeah.
Because we've spent a lot of today.
Don't forget my podcast.
We've talked a lot today about the trade, breaking down the trade, why I feel the Kings did it. I don't know if I did a coherent job of explaining why I truly feel the Kings went the route that they went. I know Kings fans aren't happy about it and really don't care about the explanation anyway. They just want to be frustrated because of how Scott Perry's tenure here in Sacramento started. Now, the way I will defend Scott Perry to the end of the earth is making sure it is crystal clear what Scott inherited versus what is his. Mm-hmm. What is his is trading Jonas Valanciunas for Dario Saric.
Right.
Did not like that trade at the time. Still don't like it now. I get it saved a little bit of money long term, but it never made sense. And I liked Jonas Valanciunas, even though I don't think Jonas Valanciunas is the type of center that Scott Perry wanted. But regardless, not a good trade. I don't think Scott would ever admit this, nor should he ever admit this. But I believe in Scott's heart of hearts, or if Scott could go back in time, if we all had the benefit of being able to rewind and fix past mistakes, I think Scott would have gone back and not signed Dennis Schroder. Maybe extended Keon, maybe not. I have no idea. Maybe he wouldn't have based off of what they believe Keon Ellis to be. But I don't think they would have signed Dennis Schroder. They would have tried to use that money elsewhere, just signed Russell Westbrook, and hopefully allowed Malik to play in his best, most natural position that he's shown over the last few years. All of this is true. And Scott needs to wear this a little bit going forward, and he needs to be more right than he is wrong. And so far, with the exception of his draft picks, which are still to be determined, and we're going into where he really has to deliver in this upcoming draft this summer, so far, I think it is fair to say more of Scott Perry's moves have been negative than positive, although maybe they were necessary.
Yeah. Okay, so let me shuffle this around a little because I would say that it was a weird situation coming in, and you're the new general manager. And I agree with the Valanciunas move. I didn't like that either. Mm-hmm. And especially when you clearly have a guy that none of us even knew was on the team still in Saric. We forgot that he was even here. We were just waiting till the time where he can be moved.
I'm sad we never made it to Dario Saric Day, which would have been the Friday after the deadline where they waived him.
The Bulls might do it.
They might. They might.
I think they waived Javon Carter.
I was going to say, they cleared a roster spot for him. I was like, are you okay?
I know.
Anyway.
And everybody was loving what the Bulls did, by the way. So I didn't like that move. Now, coming in as a new GM, and there were rumblings that, you needed some sort of a true point guard. And I understand the Malik Monk argument. But again, at that time, it's like, okay, I need to get a true point guard in here. So he goes out and gets Schroder. Now, whether or not they were truly trying to get Westbrook before that, I don't know. Because I've heard, too, that they were trying to go out and get him. But
yeah, it was kind of weird.
I want to know the real answer to that, because that might change my mind.
I feel like he was always on the radar, but they didn't know if they were going to be able to do it or not.
So
exactly.
I remember they had, when free agency first opened, a Zoom call with Schroder and Westbrook. And the reason I remember this is because it was phrased, I think, by Chris Haynes in a way that was like, it was ambiguous as to whether they were both on the Zoom call together or whether they were both doing a Zoom call.
They were having individual conversations with different guys, and there was a rumor on the table that there was a lot more money waiting for Russ overseas if he wanted to go that route, but it didn't sound like he wanted to go that route, but there was still more money on the table than the league minimum that we all knew the Kings were offering. So it was very unclear to the Kings whether or not they were going to get Russell Westbrook, and it's clear, or that part is obvious, because they didn't sign him and weren't able to get him in the building until right before the season started.
And that I don't like, because it's like, I think if he would have just brought Westbrook in, okay, cool. By the way, Westbrook, whether you like him or not, he's been good. He's been fine.
The other note is the reason it took so long, too, is that because they were going after Kuminga and waiting to see if Kuminga was going to depart Golden State, they had to wait on the roster spot for Russ.
Right. And I get there are logistics that we don't see that go on behind the scenes. So I'm not going to say, damn you, Perry, you made all the wrong moves, because I think I know all the details. I don't.
Right.
But Westbrook, I think just having him and not having Schroder, that would have been better, obviously, for everyone, because then you wouldn't have had as much of a jam all year in terms of the guard position. So I don't love that move. The moves that I've liked, though, by Scott Perry is definitely bringing in Achua.
Yep.
When they needed some sort of a big presence, especially because Sabonis has been injured. He has been spectacular. Probably even tried to convince another team to sign him.
Yeah, he'll probably go elsewhere this summer, I imagine.
He
He'll have some suitors.
Will. So I liked that move, and I think it is more negative than positive with Scott at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just some of the things we don't see behind the scenes.
He was very hamstrung with what he could do because, like we talked about, he inherited a cap sheet that before he even made any moves, 73% of his cap space was already eaten up by four guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried to move four guys. He most aggressively tried to move Malik Monk, who was the cheapest of the four guys.
Which I don't get.
So, and I don't get that either necessarily, but I understand if Perry is looking at the books and going, I got to move any of these, I'll start with the easiest one, and I'll shop the easiest one.
Yeah.
He was, again, he's not blameless, and we can't just go, everything's Vivek's fault or Monty's fault.
Right.
He has to own the moves that he's made, but he came into this position with a very difficult set of circumstances that do play a factor. And we just have to keep those in mind when we talk about the moves that Perry made or did not make going forward. Ultimately, the moves that he has made more often than not have kind of been to maybe shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. But what I do appreciate, and I understand people don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt right now because of the frustration of losing Keon Ellis, but he made a move. It hasn't worked out. He didn't stubbornly stick with it. He moved on from it. And he did so in a way that doesn't really hurt the organization. If you want to complain because they lost Keon Ellis, well, Keon was already walking anyway, and I know that was the circumstance that the Kings created, but I don't, that's just the reality of the situation. Keon was going, so instead of letting him walk for nothing, they managed to use him to attach him to a contract and move on from a contract, number one. And number two is a second-round pick was not going to move the needle or change the needle anyway. He still has what's most important here going forward, and has potentially added another really solid player that we haven't seen play a second yet for the Sacramento Kings, in DeAndre Hunter. So we'll see how that pairing goes going forward. So Scott's not blameless in anything, and I think he would change some things if he could go back in time. But I don't think he deserves the venom that I've seen him getting since this trade went down. But you best believe he's got to start delivering going forward, because he's got still a lot of mess to clean up.
And there's still going to be, whatever happens, because Keon Ellis was so beloved here, whether or not you believe he's overrated or underrated, I think the overall theme of people that we've heard from today and just in the past is like people loved Keon Ellis. And so if Keon Ellis shines in Cleveland, yes, it's a better situation, obviously, but it doesn't matter. If he shines there, like Scott is also going to, for a while at least, have that against him as well.
It's going to sting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Tay wants to weigh in on the trade. Tay, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing? It's going to be a big week. I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
We're ready, Tay.
Always.
I appreciate you guys. I was just thinking about this, and I want to get you guys' feedback. So if you look at the 2026 Rising Stars game, Wizards have 3 players in there, Alex Sarr, Trey Johnson, Keyshawn George, and Pelicans have 2, Jeremiah Fears and Derek Quinn. And people say Wizards and Pelicans are arguably worse teams than Sac. But in terms of young talent, are we seriously at the bottom? Because obviously we don't have anybody in the Rising Stars game. I understand that Wizards and Pelicans drafted a lot, earlier. So my question is, can this be a good barometer for next year if either Maxime Renaud or Nick Clifford makes the Rising Stars game? Would that be a good indication of Doug's good coaching of the young guys?
Tay, it's a great question. Yeah. I think ultimately, not to say that Max and Nick and Dylan aren't going to be important next season, because they will be.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody's going to be talking about whatever the Kings do with this draft pick this year.
Correct.
If it whether it's 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, whatever it ends up being, whatever player that they draft, they have to get right. If Perry drafts a player that immediately it doesn't look like he's going to, because the Kings aren't just drafting for good, solid young talent to add to something. Like that was the context of the draft of Nick Clifford, right? And the context of how this season has gone is very important when talking about Scott Perry's situation too, Kayla, because we all expected the Kings to come into the season to play out the remainder of their contracts by competing maybe for a play-in spot.
Yeah.
And I would argue that it would have been way worse than the circumstances the Kings are in right now.
Yeah.
It would have been way worse because the Kings would have been in perpetual NBA purgatory.
Yeah.
It's almost better that everything, the you-know-what, hit the fan as much as it has this season so we can just get the rebuild going. But Scott is looking to draft a foundational, at the very least, not a superstar or 1A option, but you have to be bringing in someone that that's going to be a core piece of a successful rebuild 3 years from now. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to, a rookie should not have to show us everything that they have right out the gate, right? We're not going to judge them based off of just that season. But, sorry, Neek, if the Kings draft a player and he's having the type of season that Nick Clifford is having,
oh, yeah. Well, we're having a problem.
Scott's in big trouble.
Yeah.
And the Sacramento Kings in general are in big trouble. Now, I danced around the answer to Tay's question because, yes, if Max or Nick show substantial growth, or Dylan shows substantial growth to where they make the sophomore team next year in the Rising Stars Challenge, that's a great indication that things are going well. We've already seen tangible improvement from all 3 of those guys, although Nick's been the slowest out of the 3. So that's encouraging.
Yeah.
No matter what, all the Kings' young players have to look better by the end of next season compared to the start.
And Trey, this is different the way I look at it this year, because you're talking about crappy teams, yes, in the Pelicans and Wizards. But I think if we've watched, especially last night, the Wizards are already just a little bit ahead in terms of the rebuilding process and the type of talent that they have. And I'm not trying to knock at all on a Nick Clifford and a guy like Maxime Renaud. But those are a lower first rounder and a second rounder. Right. And those aren't going to move the needle right now as much as some of these guys that are Pelicans, Washington guys that, been drafted ahead and are a little bit more ahead of schedule. But next year, like, that needs to change narrative-wise. You're exactly right, because they're going to have what we think is a high pick.
Yeah, the Kings are hoping Neek and Max and Dillon can be future solid NBA caliber rotational
100%.
pieces. The Pelicans traded their pick for Queen for him to be this future star of what they're doing there. The Wizards are looking at Alex Sarr to hopefully be a future star there, and now his partnership with Trae Young.
Yep.
So that context is important too. Whoever the Kings draft in this year's draft, they're going to look at them maybe even more so than the Pelicans look at Queen and the Wizards look at Sarr.
I think so.
So a lot of pressure is on Perry to deliver, and I hope to God he gets I hope he walks out of the draft lottery with a top 2 pick, so he can get, if he doesn't get Peterson, then he gets his pick of whoever's left. Because if you're 3rd or 4th, you have to rely on who the other teams take, right? If you don't get 1, get 2. Just end up top 2, I beg. But we'll see what the ping pong balls have to say about that. We're going to take the break. When we come back, before we get to crosstalk with Whitey Gleason and Alan Stiles, we'll take more of your phone calls if you want to call in and get some last-minute talk about this trade. Plus, NBA notes from around the weekend, including a big college note. Speaking of top draft picks, Darren Peterson and A.J. DeBansa played each other in college this weekend. And, one guy dominated. Let's just say that. We'll talk about it when we come back. It's Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com, and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Stockton Honda, we know how to honor a great deal. Like right now during our President's Day sales event. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, you can find star-spangled savings on some of our best models. Why not stop in today and see for yourself? Come celebrate at Stockton Honda and get huge savings on our giant selection, plus top dollar for your trade.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, drive, weight, hair loss, and even ED. Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your T level for free. For your free T level check, exam, and consultation, call 916-277-8599 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
You remember me from a show called And Joe? I'm back on the radio, Sacramento. It's Joe Mommy, and when you need your new country fix, join me weekdays from 6A to 10 for the Pat and Cody with Joe show on New Country 105.1 KNCI or on the free KNCI app.
At Power Business Technology, we're not another big box corporation. We're your neighbors, locally owned and operated. We know what businesses like yours need, from reliable printers to high-performance copiers. We'll help you find the right solution with personal service you just can't get online. Need setup or support? We're just down the road and always happy to help. Power Business Technology, family hometown service with big-time solutions. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729 or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Hagen Oaks knows you can buy a driver off the shelf anywhere, but Hagen Oaks is the only place where you'll find total game fitting. The Hagen Oaks TrackMan-powered player performance studio fits clubs to your swing. Ping's Ballnamic Ball Fitter finds your optimum golf ball. The putter fitting studio makes you a better putter, and FootJoy's 3D foot scanner finds your correct fit. In fact, Hagen Oaks will fit you from head to toe with equipment and apparel to make you the player you want to be. It's total game fitting, and it's only at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway.
It's Matt George and Kayla Anderson on Sactown Sports 1140.
It has been one fun, crazy Monday here.
I thought we just got here. Isn't it 10 o'clock?
I feel like I need a nap. It's flown by, and at the same time, trying to make sense of everything the Sacramento Kings are doing. It's been my life's work, and I don't feel like sometimes I'm any closer to understanding anything.
It's been fun.
It's like being a husband trying to understand your wife. You just hold on for dear life.
Some things you just can't figure out.
Something that's just the way it is. And if you ask questions, you'll end up more confused than making progress.
Exactly.
But we really appreciate everybody who's been a part of this show today. This is just the start of the 4th week in this show's lifespan, and we're having so much fun. Kayla's been amazing putting up with me. Kyle's been wonderful as our producer, and the Sacramento Kings finally gave us a trade. So thank you, Kings.
Thank you
for giving us something.
Whether you like it or not.
I would have preferred Kuminga, but that's fine.
Well, never say never. We still got time.
Never.
Although I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm standing down from the watch for now.
Hey, punt it to the summertime, baby. We'll bring it back. Kuminga watch every day, stealing another thing.
I still think he's going to come here eventually.
We'll see.
I really do.
We'll see. He might be a free agent this summer. We will see. It all depends on what the Warriors decide to do.
I forgot about the stupid team option.
Yep. We shall see. We shall see. Another thing we stole from Alan Stiles, Kuminga watch. And speaking of Alan Stiles, you'll be able to hear him and Whitey Gleason coming up. The Drive guys are coming up next in about half an hour from now, although they will join us in Crosstalk in the next segment. And I know Alan, I've been reading his tweets, man. I know Alan's coming in hot. I know he's ready. Best of luck to Whitey Gleason for whatever Alan's bringing to the table. But keep it right here on Sactown Sports because we got a ton more coming your way. But right now, Patty joins us on the phone, wanted to weigh in on the Keon Ellis trade. Patty, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing today?
Very, very good. It's good to talk to you.
Hey, I have a comment. I have no doubt in my mind that Keon Ellis is going to have a great career. Because if we look back at the Kings and look at all the fans' favorites that we have traded, and I'm going to start as far back as Mike Malone, then I'm going to move on to Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox. They all went on to have fabulous careers. I know De'Aaron is just recently with San Antonio, but he's having a great time down there. And, we can't even argue about Tyrese. He went on to become great. So that's what I'm thinking. Keon's going to have a great career from now on.
Patty, you've heard the joke, and I know you know it's true. If over the course of history, front offices don't listen to fans, and for the most part. And normally that's a good thing because they're obviously paid professionals to do what they do. But if the Kings had listened to their fans and what the fan opinion was of players or draft picks or things, what the popular opinion was in Sacramento over these last, let's call it 20 years, I think the Sacramento Kings would have been a lot better off than they've been. Right, Patty?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for the call. We really appreciate it. We're all wishing Keon Ellis the best of luck. Again, I think Keon is an awesome guy. Getting to know him. The pressure's on, though. The pressure is really on for Keon, and guys thrive under pressure. And Keon got the opportunity out of nowhere as an unknown and fought to earn himself a spot in the NBA to where now a team with championship aspirations in the Cleveland Cavaliers is going, I want him on my team. That enough isn't a testament to his growth.
Yeah, you're going to a team that is actually competing for something this year that is trying to not only make the playoffs, but make it far. And that's the goal that had been Cleveland's since the start of the season. Now the fans are excited about you coming there. They're expecting things out of you. Now, how much they expect, I don't know. I'm not over in Cleveland right now, but from everything I've heard from my friends over in Ohio, they're expecting a little bit of him coming off the bench. So it is. The pressure is on him, but I think these are moments, too, where you see the best competitor shine. And hopefully, for Keon's sake, he is able to do that.
I have to imagine, that DeMar DeRozan, his goodbye to Keon Ellis was probably, you lucky son of a gun.
I know, right? He's like, I've been trying to work it this whole year.
You lucky son of a gun. You're going to go play meaningful basketball.
Right.
And DeMar still might. What Sam Amick said last week.
I'm rooting for DeMar. No, I'm sorry. I'm just a big DeMar fan.
I am too. And I don't hate the idea of DeMar still being here. I think he might.
I know. I'm like, you're in the end of your career, and you're still playing really well. You would think you'd want to go compete.
I'm holding out hope of what Sam Amick said last week, that there are teams that DeMar is plan C or D. Yeah. And obviously plan A is Giannis for a lot of these teams, and we have no idea what's going to happen. But when we get to the final hour before the deadline on Thursday, a team will finally go, fine, we'll go get DeMar. Here's a second-round pick or whatever.
We're doing it. And they're like, okay, finally.
Yeah, I hope that for DeMar's sake as well as our own. Kayla, of the billion things that happened over the weekend, did you see Kansas versus BYU?
I did, and I actually am going to say some stuff you guys might not like.
Oh, well, now I'm getting out of the way. What? Tell me.
So I know everybody, and I'm not going to, don't try to twist this, okay?
I'm going to twist it.
I know everybody is pretty much now in on Darren Peterson.
It seems like it.
And look, talent-wise, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
If you watch the first half of the Kansas BYU game the other night, he was unbelievable. Like, he was literally the only one you should be watching on the floor, and that was why DeBansa was out on the floor as well. He was stealing balls. He was pulling up from three. He was shooting, switching from his right to left hand. Like,
best player on the court.
He looked unfreaking stoppable.
Yep.
Until halftime hit, and he came out in the second half, and all of a sudden he gets cramps. And I'm watching him on the bench, and it doesn't look like he's having cramps or people are giving him things to help the cramps, or at any point he wanted to come back out on the floor and compete with his team. There is a mystery of what the hell is going on with Darren Peterson this year that I just want solved a little bit before the upcoming draft. And the only reason I say this, and it's all probably political in terms of what his agent is saying to Kansas behind the scenes and how to manage him, but do we see this with other players? Like in the past, I don't feel like it's been to this level where he's played 11 games this season and finished one game.
It seems like it's pretty clear to me that his job, and we know why he went to Kansas. We know why he's only going to spend one in the other league. His job is to hit that trampoline and then go right to the NBA. And I think it's pretty clear that the what is important to Peterson is I'm going to go out there and I'm going to showcase as much as I need to show I am the number one pick. I'm the top guy in this draft. And then I will get the heck out of this game to, one, protect myself from injury, and two, protect that image. Because had he played in the second half and not looked good, and A.J. DeBansa starts playing really well, now all of a sudden the narrative goes from, oh, he's absolutely the consensus number one to, well, maybe again. And
but it bugs me. It freaking bugs me.
And you're not alone. I think we're going to hear when the draft gets closer and when you're talking about, because there's always pros and cons to each draft pick and you're trying to break down these kids' profiles and everything like that, that's going to be a topic of conversation for a lot of scouts, a lot of draft experts, the interviews that Peterson does with teams. It's going to be really interesting, especially if a team like the Sacramento Kings wins the draft lottery and the Kings go and interview Peterson and go, hey, like, we want you to be the superstar and the new face of the Sacramento Kings, but this is going to take a while. Are you going to be all in or are you not?
Or are you going to sit out the second half?
And I mean, that's going to be interesting to find out how that works. Like, I'm a huge fan of A.J. DeBansa. I love A.J. DeBansa. I see the upside of DeBansa. I love the idea of DeBansa and Keegan Murray next to each other.
Sure.
Darren Peterson was the best player on the floor, and it wasn't even close.
I agree. DeBansa almost disappeared in the first half because Peterson outplayed.
And DeBansa has this raw, athletic, two-way ability that is extremely enticing, and he's a project that I think is the right time for the Sacramento Kings to take on. Like, you can swing on these guys with high ceilings but potentially low floors. But Peterson, if you're looking like, I need a star, I need a dude, I need to come out of the draft with the face of my franchise going forward, Peterson seems like that guy. The but is what you're talking about.
I am. And I'm sorry, I wasn't going to I think that is so stupid of us just to not even bring up that side of it.
100%.
Because, he's the best player in college right now. I don't give a damn. All the other players are playing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, he's going to get you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
he's going to get you.
Where I agree with your point, Kayla, is like it's counterintuitive to just the way that we watch sports, right? The idea that these games should be representative samples of what it is we're watching. And yet, time and time again, that's not the story of the NBA draft. In fact, it's the opposite, is that the teams who overthink in that way are the ones who get laughed at for the rest of time. The teams that passed on Joel Embiid because he had injury concerns.
Anthony Edwards is a big one.
Anthony Edwards. Steve Kerr said he didn't care about basketball, and they were worried about that. Luka Doncic. People said Luka didn't have good diet habits and didn't work hard.
That's a good point, Kyle.
Guess what? The Sacramento Kings were the team that passed on.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. Baby,
no, real quick. Those are good points. However, I don't think it's been talked about enough because it could be something to look out for in terms of an actual injury-prone player, because there are those too. Zion Williamson.
Yeah,
sure. And the same thing happened with James Wiseman, and James Wiseman flamed out terribly. Like, he left Memphis in the middle of similar things happening with Peterson.
I don't think you have to overthink it necessarily, to your point, Kyle, because you could psych yourself out of an obvious talent that's in front of you. But if you're a team like the Sacramento Kings, you do have to acknowledge, am I drafting a player that is not going to be all in, and by the time we get 4 years into this thing, whether things are going good or not, he's going to be like, get me out of here, I don't want to play for the Sacramento Kings anymore. Teams have to think that way, especially small market teams in Sacramento. So you don't want to psych yourself out and spook yourself. Talent over everything, especially with the position the Kings are in right now. But what you're talking about is going to be a topic of conversation that, whether teams address it publicly or not, Kyle, every single interview that Peterson does after a pre-draft workout, at the combine, or if he says, I'm not doing any of that because I know I'm going number 1 or number 2, whatever. Every conversation that man has with every team, they are going to talk about that element because they need to know that he's all in.
You have to. And if you don't, you're not doing your job. No denying, he is a heck of a talent. Abso-freaking-lutely. Would he, if he is all in and if mentally he's that guy, heck yeah, that'd be a hit. But it's stupid if we're just ignoring that part of it.
Yeah. Paul George was also suspended 25 games for PEDs, making the George name look bad, Paul. Come on.
He said it was like a prescription for mental health or something.
Well, whatever.
So
whatever it was, not a good look for him or the 76ers have to deal with that. But what's a good look for us is we got reinforcements. Whitey Gleason, Alan Stiles, they're coming in right now. Are they on PEDs? Probably. That's why they perform so well. It's Matt and Kayla coming up.
Texas was feeling unwelcome. Now Taxes is an open door, literally, to new TurboTax stores. Meet our experts in person.
Hi, welcome in.
They're powered by smart tech and ready to do your taxes for you. Get real-time updates while you go about your day. Confident your taxes are done right. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. TurboTax stores opening soon. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Charlie's battery is struggling to start. Not ideal before the tailgate, so he goes to AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone,
where a friendly AutoZoner tests his battery for free. Looks like he needs a new one, so he gets the Duralast battery.
Have fun and stay warm.
And he makes it to the tailgate early enough to get his favorite spot. Free battery testing and charging. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hurry in and save big during Honda's President's Day sales event at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Hurry in and save on our best selection of new Hondas. Each is priced to sell now. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop for great pricing on a giant selection of new CRVs, HRVs, Civics, and Accords with low finance and lease options. Plus, get an instant cash offer for your trade. Get to Folsom Lake Honda or go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Folsom Lake Honda.
Country in the Park is back. May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo. Miranda Lambert. John Party. And more. Line dancing live DJs, Mechanical Bulls, huge festival area, and food trucks. Tickets start at only $68. It's the perfect Valentine's gift. Surprise them with live country music and dancing. Country in the Park, May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center and Hilton Sacramento. For more info, visit CITPfest.com.
Join Sactown Sports downtown before every Kings game and pick up an In Shape Fitness Kings Rally Towel while supplies last. If you walk, lift, stretch, or sweat, you belong. Start the year strong and join today at InShape.com.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kent Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kent Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sactown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
I don't know about y'all. I cannot wait for the drive guys today.
I'm waiting for a drive guy myself.
We are all currently waiting for half of the drive guys.
I mean, we were late today, though, so we can't say anything today.
We were late.
Whitey knew it.
Although we should not have even come in based off of the conversations that we had in our crosstalk. So we'll try and make this crosstalk a little bit better than fish facials.
Yeah.
And it sounds even worse than you think it is.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that the restaurant down on P Street?
Yeah. Come on into fish facials. Yeah,
fish face. That was a joke that 8 people listening will find.
Fish face.
I
do a good fish face.
That was a very good fish face. Radio
that is
listeners,
really good.
I apologize.
That is really good.
I'm sorry you didn't see that. We were waiting for Alan Stiles to come in, but obviously, big weekend for the Sacramento Kings. Well, big, not on the court. Like they've lost 9 straight, Whitey, for the first time.
Let's
it was
go.
the weirdest game
in 5
yesterday.
years. It was horrible.
Yeah.
That watching experience was horrible, and we might need to buckle up for more of that coming soon. But where were you? What were you? How were you?
What were you wearing?
On Saturday? Yeah, what were you?
We're just starting to get ready for bed. We were visiting family, and Sheena, my wife, looked at her phone. She said, and she told me about the trade. And then I was like, what do you mean? Woo.
Wow.
Yeah. What did you say?
Yeah. It's so weird because I think on the surface it looks like, wow, it's a move for the short term. But the more you look into it, no, not necessarily. So I know you guys have talked about all that. But it's just, with the Kings, they never – and they don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They make a trade, and everybody from all the fans to everybody nationally is like, they have no idea what they're doing, which may be the case, but we just assume that.
Was your impulse reaction the same after a night of sleeping on it, or did anything change for the worse or the better when you just let it marinate a little bit about what the Kings actually did or didn't do?
I think I had a decent handle on it before I fell asleep and then slept like a baby. I think one of the keys to this, I could be wrong. One of the mysteries is what happened with Keon. How come they couldn't work it out with Keon? Pardon me. I really think at some point Keon and or his people let the Kings know that you're not in my plans.
Ooh, something I don't think we've really discussed.
And I
like
think that
turning
could
it
go
around.
back even further than we think. So that's the only thing, as you mull it all over. Oh, so I'm wondering if that.
I tend to agree with you. I think the Kings always viewed Keon as an important asset, which is why you go all the way back to the summertime and he was not included in the Jonathan Kuminga trade talks because they didn't feel like they had to. Maybe they were overpaying unnecessarily at that time. But I think what's been pretty consistent is the view of Keon Ellis inside the organization does not match the external view of Keon Ellis from the fan base. And that wasn't just a Scott Perry thing. That was 2 separate front offices and 2 separate coaching staffs that seemed to feel that way. And what was different was Mike Brown and Monty McNair didn't seem very unified on their beliefs, but both seemed to agree on that. Scott Perry and Doug Christie are very unified on what they believe, and they agreed on that. So I don't want this to be a smear campaign for Keon because I'm excited to see what he can do in Cleveland. And there's a reason why half the league wanted him.
Yeah.
But there's also
maybe not half the league, by the way.
Well,
I know. I think that number was a little bit.
Right.
I don't think half the league was willing to throw first-round picks at him, but I think there was a fair interest of we can get Keon Ellis for next to nothing. But that was the frustration that I had with this entire reaction to it. Because, Whitey, I feel like it was more based on principle than the actual results of the trade. I think people were more frustrated that the Kings didn't get any draft compensation for the sake of getting draft compensation than they were upset that they sent out a second-round pick instead of getting a second-round pick. It ultimately wouldn't have mattered that much. Like, a second-rounder doesn't change anything one way or the other.
Right, but people are looking, as you guys know, for clarity and at least some indication that, okay, that's what I thought you were doing. Sure. I don't know if it'll work, but okay, I get it. This is what you're doing. But then you have that trade. It's like, wait, a 28-year-old for Keon Ellis.
And the money.
And you're giving up a second-round pick. I'm not saying it won't work. It's just a little more involved, and I think it leaves people going, just when I thought I had this figured out, now I got to figure it out all over again.
We were getting so much feedback today with fans saying why they didn't like it. It was like, you're preaching you're getting rid of one veteran contract, which is less than the contract you're bringing in of DeAndre Hunter. And what I would say with that is that they're going to probably work that out. Obviously, this isn't the last move that is happening. And it seems Hunter is more fitting what they want with the depth at the forward position and a bigger forward.
Yeah, but I don't see how he fits. I mean, it's going to be a couple years. So
It's not this year.
Yeah. But just as Scott Perry talked about how Dennis Schroder could be part of our future. Yeah, he could have been. I never really bought that. And so I'm not necessarily buying the implication now that, they see him as a piece going forward. Yeah, maybe, but I'm not buying that that's how they view him right
I don't think they're looking at DeAndre Hunter necessarily as now we've got one of our foundational pieces. Right. But I think Scott has more of a we'll see guy than he felt like he had on this roster before. Mm-hmm. Like I do believe there is an element of curiosity of what does Keegan look like next to a player like this, which we've never seen at any point over Keegan's career. The Kings have been hunting for a player like this, and a lot of fans are upset because 2 years too late. Where was this?
Hunting for Hunter, you're saying?
Hunting for Hunter. But
that's a nice little slogan.
I do feel that there's a curiosity element of best case scenario for playing this out. Hunter ends up being a good fit with Keegan, and they have that context going forward. He plays out next season, and they extend him or sign him to a new deal that's probably less per year annually than he's making right now because his value around the league has gone down.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best case. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen.
I know,
but I think
that
there's
flies
a
in the
curiosity.
face of tanking too, right? To a degree.
Not necessarily, because I think if they're winning too much, then there's going to be like a whoa. Okay, hey, Keegan, your ankle hurts again, or Hunter, your ankle hurts again. But I think there is an element of these are the kind of guys that we envision working going forward. Now we have at least a trial period to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And they're not a DeAndre Hunter away from winning basketball games.
Is being on time one of the 6 pillars, do you know?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were here, Alan.
Sorry, I had to sneak in.
Oh, hi. What have you been doing? Someone said you were on the toilet.
No.
Okay.
No.
Just want to
just cooking up some
deny
takes.
that rumor.
No. Had a couple conversations I had to have. But
Oh.
I'm here now.
Well, I like your shirt.
Thank you.
I'd like to borrow that if
you can.
If you'd like, or if you'd let me.
I would like to let you.
I would like. All right. Well, Alan, I know you've got you're plenty opinionated online as I was when this trade went down. I don't want to spoil everything that you're going to bring to the show over the next 4 hours, so don't cook too much.
No.
But I mean, initial thoughts. Give us the appetizer. Give us the first.
Before he
sip.
answers, can I explain where he was?
Yes.
I'm on the phone.
Please.
Hey, I might be tardy. I'm waiting for the Uber because my wife has to pick up our daughter from daycare.
No, I was already here. I've been here.
Whitey, for getting down.
I've been here. All right.
I mean, I'm giving you an out.
Yeah.
I'm setting you up.
I've already been here. No, the first thought was obviously a little bit surprising. There were all this talk about picks and for them to not get a pick. I was listening to Amick on the morning show, and, the funny thing is whenever you hear about a return that maybe you're not as excited about, of course what's going to come out is, well, the market changed, right? Nobody's going to say, well, we could have got a first and we decided to get DeAndre Hunter. That's not what happened.
Sure.
So it kind of gives you an out. The difference is with going back to the Fox thing, they did it earlier than they probably should have. They still had him on another year of contract, so a little bit different. But it's an expiring contract. The reason I think you and I kind of went back and forth a little bit was simply because I think a lot of people were just upset about why we're here. Not necessarily the fix, but why the fix was necessary. Because, I'll never forget, I was at a River Cats game. It was in between innings, and I went on social media. People were texting me, and they said, did you see the Keon thing? And then they're all the people that overreact saying, oh, my goodness, you shouldn't have picked up the option. A lot of people saying, well, let's wait and see. Well, we did wait and see. And the reality is it made him expendable. It did from Jump Street. And that wasn't going to change. And again, listening to Amick just about how the team wanted to give Doug a chance to win games. And that's why it's unrealistic to think, hey, we know we're going to lose, so we're just not going to bring in anybody, right? And we're going to stink. That's not fair to Doug. Now, do I think they needed to bring in Schroder and Westbrook? Probably not, but the claim was that they didn't know they were going to be able to get Westbrook. So that's how we got here. Now that we're here, I think even the fix is a little bit peculiar. And I've been a DeAndre Hunter guy. You give me a team with DeAndre Hunter, Rui Hachimura, all these guys.
He's going to give up a lot of points.
They're long.
When the hand gets going, we know Alan means
They're long. They do a lot. But at this point in time, it is peculiar about how they're going to fix them. And I keep trying to tell y'all that hybrid rebuild is not going away. And this is a sign. What you're saying, Matt, you're trying to say, well, no, there's still an ejecto button, and there might be. But in the meantime, the hybrid rebuild is still bubbling underneath. It's not going away.
Well, if the hybrid rebuild carries into next season, the Sacramento Kings will be a second apron team.
I'm just telling you.
That's a fireable offense in
I don't
itself.
want a hybrid unless it's a car, okay?
Well, hey. Well, it's charging right now. The Kings hybrid is charging outside right now. Hopefully the lights don't shut off.
Well, if you needed more of a reason to listen to the Drive Guys, you just got it. Whitey Gleason's going to survive. Alan Stiles is going to thrive. Mm-hmm. That's coming up here from 2 to 6. For now, Kayla and I say so long. We will see you tomorrow for more of your trade reactions. Maybe something else happens. Maybe it doesn't, but we'll be here regardless. See you tomorrow.
Peace.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it